What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Rise and Rush podcast. I should be saying good morning, and basically good morning. But Angry John is back for a Rise and Rush podcast. Luca will be leaving a little bit early today because he has to go to the New York Jets game, as we kind of have touched over on the last few days. But I'll start with John on first thoughts.
Well, I missed the last two, guys. I missed last night's Notre Dame USC live stream. I was in the chat for a little, so thanks to all who joined that. We had a big viewership on that one. And then I also missed Thursday Night Football, Ranger hockey calls. But I had to ask you both a question. Do either of you have any head trauma or like headaches?
No, I don't think I have. I don't think I have any hypertension, no headaches.
Oh, I just wanted to make sure you didn't have an illness. I just wanted to be that good friend because Robert Salas says, hey, guys, Sauce Gardner has an illness, but it's really a concussion. Go ahead, Luca. Go ahead. I won't take your time up.
First thoughts, obviously, it'll be at the Jet game today. I know what I'm asking the coach. I'll just say that. Also, I'll be covering the Texans-Saints game. I covered the Saints game last week, but I'm very intrigued with this matchup this week. But yeah, another week of Sunday football, and hopefully I win some bets. I mean, my bet last night didn't win, but hopefully my spread bet for NFL usually wins, and it hopefully wins today.
So why don't you just stick to college bets, NFL bets?
Because sometimes college is successful. Like I think I did an over/under last week for college, and it worked out well. All right, so
we'll jump into it. We're going to do Luca's first since he is leaving a tad early. Luca, by the way, you put it in the wrong doc, but that's fine.
Okay.
Is that why I didn't see it?
Yeah, that's why I didn't see John's information, but that's okay. It's all fine. Today we got the Texans and the Saints. It's a 1:00 game. Two interesting teams. The Texans are 2-3. The Saints are 3-2. The Texans have a chance to go above 500. Can quite possibly pull off the upset. I'm going to get the spread odds in this game. I'm sure the Saints are probably favored, but not by much. Let's go to NFL. And the odds in this game, Saints are given given 1.5 points right now, -1.5. The Texans obviously +1.5. The FPI predictor for ESPN has the Saints winning, but you know what? I'm not going to lie, this game has upset potential, but also another thing to keep in mind for the Texans, can C.J. Stroud keep his interceptionless streak going? I don't know how many snaps or plays it is, but there's been a lot of plays, and he's not thrown a lot of he's not even thrown one interception, which is impressive thus far. Now for the Saints, can the offense put up over 400 yards of offense versus a Texans defense that is actually ranking in the mid-tier? I thought they would be in the top, but they are not. They came over a depressing loss last week to the Atlanta Falcons. Game-winning field goal by Younghoe Koo, which blew my spread, but that's regardless. So to view the top performance from the last week, you had Derek Carr, obviously with the Saints coming off a 34-0 victory versus the Patriots. It wasn't a ton of offense as you would expect in a 34-0 game. Derek Carr, 18-26, 183 yards plus 2 touchdowns. I believe Foster Moreau had a touchdown, and so did Chris Olave. Alvin Kamara, 22 rushes, 80 yards, a touchdown, 3.7 yards per carry. Wide receiver Michael Thomas, 4 receptions and 7 targets with 65 yards. Kendre Miller, 4 receptions, 53 yards. I think Tyrann Mathieu had a big game as well. But some key injuries for the New Orleans Saints. Andres Pete is questionable at the moment with a groin injury. Safety / cornerback Lonnie Johnson is out with a hamstring, and tight end Jawan Johnson is out with a calf injury. So Houston, C.J. Stroud, 20 of 35 with 245 yards and a touchdown to Dalton Schultz last week. I'll mention Dalton Schultz in a little bit because I think he's very key. Damian Pierce, the running back, 20 carries, 66 yards. Hasn't really had a big game yet. 3.3 yards off the ground per carry. Dalton Schultz, 7 receptions, 65 yards last week with the touchdown. Obviously, that could have been the game winner, but it was not. Jalen Petre had a big game, 13 tackles, 8 solo tackles, and a pass defense. Now, John, you'll remember this name, and I'll tell you why you should remember this name.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Cashman.
No.
He had 9 tackles, 5 solo, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 quarterback hit. And did you know that? I'm just going to bring this with context because I don't want to give something out of context. Blake Cashman has played about 50% of the defensive snaps. He's played about 40, like in the upper 40s of special team snaps. He is the highest ranked pro football focused linebacker.
Really?
I want to say like a 91.6. Again, I'm adding context by saying he's played a half of the defensive snaps. I think there is a injury into the linebacking core. I'm just going to double check for you right now.
I have the injury report up.
Well, I don't think it really has.
Harris.
It's Christian Harris. Yes, he was out with a concussion. Yep, that's why Blake Cashman's getting the most of the will linebacker snaps or the weak linebacker snaps. Should I bench CJ Stroud?
Go ahead, Luca. Go ahead.
My thoughts. I mean,
well, who are your other quarterbacks is the question.
Yeah,
that's true.
So
I think it's Burrow, right? I think it's Burrow for him.
Remind us if it's Burrow or not. But here's some of the stuff on Stroud, right?
Yes.
It's 5th in yards per attempt, 9th best passer rating, and also like he hasn't thrown a pick all year, which we've listened to. He also says, "Say Flowers, listen to me. I need you to have a breakout game." Yeah, he had a rough. Ravens had a rough week last week, as that game's actually it should be underway as they're in London. But here's some stuff on the New Orleans Saints, which is a little scary, right? They've allowed the 4th lowest yards per attempt, lowest passer rating in that secondary. And, they use a lot of man coverage, okay? But it really is going to be, something has to give here. So
right.
He also says he's got Burrow and Geno. I'll take a look at their matchups.
Just against each other.
Oh, that's right. They do. So Stroud, while he is like doing very well, he's like he has a really tough matchup. Now, Joe Burrow, on the other hand, right? You saw him kind of adjust to the Cardinals, and he got the ball out a lot quicker, right? Something they weren't doing. He also had 3 attempted deep passes last week, which I don't think they did that all at a game this whole season. So while I think Stroud's had the better season, Burrow, you could expect a possibly a strong outing. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to light the world and Stroud won't. Yeah. But I'm just saying Stroud has a way tougher matchup. And, Geno, I say he's like a middling quarterback too. Kind of like maybe Stroud's a little ahead of him. But with Geno, he's 9th in with his passing grade, I think, on PFF. He's actually got a good completion percentage, but the Bengals still have a very good pass defense. They're like middle. They think they're like 15th in yards per attempt. So I think the smart and the safest option is to start Joe Burrow for you.
I actually gave my viewpoint yesterday. I said, you know what, Burrow might have the better matchup, but I you got to have Burrow obviously play another week like he did last week. But
okay, fair enough.
That was my take. You share a different take, which is completely fine. But yeah, Blake Cashman, number 1 graded linebacker in PFF. Let's see how he plays this week against the Saints. Some key injuries for them. Tank Dell is out with a concussion. Robert Woods will play with a rib injury.
Tank Dell, by the way, as if you guys are good followers on Twitter, Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport usually put out midnight reports about whether they're going to play or not. Tank Dell is not expected to play.
I know. I just said that.
Oh, my bad then.
But anyways.
Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Distract myself.
Yep, I obviously saw it this morning. That's what I kept track of. But anyways,
says Stroud is probably going to be the best QB from this class. Young is too small.
Yeah,
he should have went number 1.
The struggles for Young have continued. Unfortunately, the news this morning: Anthony Richardson is probably done for the year.
That sucks.
Really?
Yeah, it could be season-ending shoulder surgery.
He might need that. So his season is most likely going to be over. And I think I believe he only finished 3 games. Because remember, he got taken out week 1 too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he missed another game after that, but he's had
to be like he had to miss like 2 games because I know he missed the Baltimore game.
Yeah,
Gardner Minshew played the entire game for that one.
Yeah, so tough rookie season for him. But go on, Luca.
Yep, but Christian Harris, as Alex also previously mentioned, is going to be out with a concussion. Obviously, that's probably detailed during the week. Not going to say anything. No imaginary injuries here, folks. Anyways, New Orleans Saints, where they rank on offense, they don't really rank that well. For again, a disappointing unit. They only had 313 yards of offense last week against the New England Patriots. They average, I think, in the low 300 when it comes to offense in general, just total offense. 25th in total offense, 24th in passing offense, 20th in rushing offense, 22nd in points per game offense. For defense, 4th in total D, 4th in passing D, 8th in rushing defense, and 5th in points per game defense, opposing points per game. As John mentioned, and I'm going to mention too, this is probably C.J. Stroud's toughest matchup yet. He faced the Falcons last week. He did a nice job, but this is going to be even tougher. Houston stats, they actually rank 11th offensively. They're 3rd in the passing offense, which is really good, especially when you have a rookie quarterback and a shaken up offensive line. But that unit's starting to become healthier as we see it. Laramie Tunsil's playing. Titus Howard is playing. Shaq Mason's obviously playing. They don't have their center right now, Drew Scruggs, so Jared Patterson will start. They've got most of their offensive line attack, which is good continuity for a rookie quarterback. Points per game, they rank 11th. For defense, they're actually worse off than I thought. 18th in total defense, 18th in passing defense, 17th in rushing defense, and points per game on defense, 11th. So I'm looking at my top matchups. I'll get into the game plan. My top matchups, Dalton Schultz, I think he'll be a huge factor this week, especially without Tank Dell, the speed there. I think, obviously, I mentioned Robert Woods is going to play. Maybe he's on a limited basis with a rib injury. But Dalton Schultz, 7 receptions, 65 yards last week. You know how much rookie quarterbacks love their tight ends, and I think Dalton Schultz has just been that for C.J. Stroud. So I expect to see a lot of Dalton Schultz touches. I don't know what the spread odds are or the betting odds are on Dalton Schultz having a reception or whatever, a touchdown. But I would definitely look at Dalton Schultz to have a big game against the Saints, although despite them being a really good defense, I think he'll be facing off against Pete Warner, so I think that's a matchup to watch. Another matchup to watch, you got Chris Olave versus Steven Nelson. Obviously, this passing defense for the Texans ranks 18th. Their secondary solid. I like their safeties better than corners. But Chris Olave hasn't really had that big game yet. He only had 2 receptions and 12 yards and a touchdown last week against New England. So expect him to be featured with a semi-healthy Derek Carr. And another matchup that I'm going to keep an eye on is Trevor Penning versus Jonathan Greenard. Penning has struggled this season. Jonathan Greenard already has 3 sacks in 5 games. He's trying to climb up the totem pole. So that's how it is. Positional battles. We got the Saints leading the way with the quarterback position. Derek Carr, I think, is obviously better than C.J. Stroud. Running backs, you have Kendra Miller and Alvin Kamara versus, I believe it is, Damian Pearson, Devin Singletary, and Mike Boone. Not much of a fan of the 2 other backups. So I'll take the Saints there. Wide receivers, I'm going to go with healthy wide receivers in this one. So I'm going to take the Saints with Chris Olave and Michael Thomas over Robert Woods at the moment and Nico Collins. Tight end, I'm going New Orleans as well, but I noted that Schultz is the best tight end out of all of them. The Saints have Foster Moreau and Jimmy Graham, 2 big body tight ends that are very valuable in the red zone. Offensive line, I'm actually going to go with Houston here in terms of a healthy unit. Obviously, for the Saints, you have Trevor Penning. You have I almost lost his name, James Hurst. You have Eric McCoy. You have Cesar Ruiz. You have Ramczyk, who's one of the best right tackles in the game. For the Texans, you have a healthy Laramie Tunsil. You have Titus Howard. You have Jared Patterson. You have Shaq Mason. I have the right tackle, and it's George Fant. So I think I'll slightly take the Texans slightly. Moving on to the defensive line, I'm actually going to call that a push. I think they're equally as talented. You look at the front 4. Both teams, by the way, run the same system. It is the 4-3 defense. You go through the defense. It is Will Anderson on the left defensive end side, left defensive tackle. Former Jet Sheldon Rankins. Millie Collins is the right defensive tackle. And Jonathan Green, as I mentioned, is the right defensive end. I believe for the Saints, it is, let me just look it up real quick, just double check. Left defensive end is Cam Jordan. Left defensive tackle is Kalen Saunders, a former Chief. Right defensive tackle is Nathan Shepard, and Carlos Granderson is the right defensive end, who's had a really good season, even earning himself a contract extension. So right now, I think the front 4 is pretty even between both the teams. You go to the linebacking core, I'm taking the Saints, Pete Warner and Zamari Davis. I'll take them over Blake Cashman. And and Denzel Perryman. I like Perryman as a veteran, but Toto is also a rookie as well. Moving on to the secondary, I'm taking New Orleans. That doesn't mean anything against Texas. The Texans secondary, the corners right now is Steven Nelson, Tavier Thomas, and Shaquille Griffin for the Texans. For the Saints, it is Marshawn Lattimore, obviously one of the best. Alante Taylor's the nickelback, Paulson Adebo as the left cornerback. For the safeties, it is Marcus May and Tyrann Mathieu for the New Orleans Saints. For the Houston Texans, it's Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petre, who has had a very good season, but I'm taking New Orleans slightly with an edge here. Moving on to the special teams, I looked up the special teams rankings. I think the Texans are like something along second. They could definitely put in the end zone, so you're seeing a lot of extra points. They do well with the returns as well, so I think that is something to keep an eye on. Now, my keys to now for that each team to win the game, obviously you got to clamp up Michael Thomas and Chris Olave, two big threats on offense for the New Orleans Saints. Texans have to take care of them mightily. Depends if they'll run a lot of zone. We'll see what the Texans do. But for the Texans on offense, you got to feature the ball to tight end. Get Dalton Schultz involved early. Open up things for the running game. Also, you got to feature. I was going to say, back to the Saints' point, you got to feature Chris Olave. Only two receptions is quite inexcusable, especially for somebody of his caliber. But that's on Pete Carmichael to feature him early. I brought up the problems with the Saints' offense last week. Again, only 313 yards last week against the New England Patriots. I know it was a 34-0 game, but you also had some defensive touchdowns in there. So, again, for the offense, for the Texans, feature the ball at the tight end, get Dalton Schultz involved early, open up the running game. The running game has not done a lot this year. They ranked 27th for the Texans, especially with Dameon Pierce in the backfield. A relatively healthy offensive line should help with that. And C.J. Stroud's arm will eventually get the defense to back up a little bit and allow the run game to move through. Obviously, Robert Woods is healthy. That's a plus side. No Tank Dell. Nico Collins is healthy as well. Moving to the Saints offense, their keys to win, obviously featuring their ball to the top receivers and doing all that. Obviously, defending C.J. Stroud is going to be quite the matchup. Obviously, C.J. Stroud is facing a top-tier defense, top four. And this is Stroud's biggest test, so we'll see what he does. I don't know what the odds are in this game in terms of prop bets and all that, but I'm sure John will give you the bets on this one. So let's move into our predictions. So
can I just get to the comments because we do have a stream of them, and also maybe thoughts before obviously we go into the predictions. But I have a ton to get to. Richardson taking unnecessary hits. What up to Armand in the chat? Armand? What's up to Armand? What's up to Mac, the Giants fan? Mac, what's up? Put his link in the chat. So if you guys have any, please go sub to Mac, Giants fan. He does the NFC East Roundup, premium takes, the Big Blue previews. I'm trying to think the Giants aftermath, where we're always talking about how the team sucks. It's up to Grega. Take away the coffee from Luca. Good job, though. I guess he was saying because you were doing a little run on there, but you did a good job. We do have a fantasy question from George Play 1. It says Tua or Justin Fields.
Well, I'll say this, right? Tua, has friggin' balled out this season, all right, and he stayed healthy. Dude is first in yards per attempt, first in passing yards a game. I think he's got the second best passer rating in the NFL. I think it's only Brock Purdy that has a better one than him. But you can't bench Tua because, number one, he's been excellent, and number two, Carolina is like they do not have the best pass defense. I think they're 12th highest in adjusted completion rate. And they use a lot of zone coverage, which Tua can easily slice up. I think he's one of the better ones at reading a zone. So you got to start Tua there. Not to say that, it was actually Justin Fields. He's been a little impressive.
They play the Vikings today.
And that too, he's got a very favorable matchup. Remember, Fields was, at first, I was saying you might not be able to start this guy, but the yards per attempt has been better, the passer rating's been better, and his accuracy has just been better. So for a Vikings team that I think they've given up their top 10, they might be 7th or 8th in fantasy points for quarterbacks. Fields isn't a horrible play,
right?
But you just look at Tua, you can't bench him. Yeah, you just can't bench him. But I do think it could be a big day for both. But George, I'd play Tua.
Honestly, I'd play Justin Fields. That's a little bit of a hot take from me.
Really?
Why? Because he didn't look the best against the Giants defense last week. I'm just saying. In
Yeah,
general.
and I feel like the Panthers will play them a little bit. Not that Giants game is a whole separate subject, but I don't know. I feel like Justin Fields is due for another I need to go off game to prove people wrong.
I don't doubt that, but when you got when Tua is just like slicing up everything, I don't see why you can't start him. Like they're not who do they have in their secondary?
Me.
No.
You're talking about which team?
The Panthers. It's Dante. What is it? Dante
J.C. Horn.
Horn.
Dante Jackson.
Isn't Horn injured?
He might be. He might be.
Horn was injured.
I know Jeremy Chin is being shopped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Horn's on injured reserve.
Yeah.
So it's Jackson, Chin, Troy Hill, C.J. Henderson. You also have Jamie Robinson, who's probably going to play safety in place of Von Bell.
Yeah, I would trust Tua against that secondary easily. You think Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are going to have problems against them? Nope.
Also, I want to make a mental note before I go into my thoughts and then John's thoughts on this game. John is wearing a hoodie, as I am wearing a hoodie, but John is wearing the same hoodie that he was wearing in the infamous "The Tunnel is at the End of the Light" video.
Yes, he is.
Well, there is no light. You know why? Because everyone got concussed. It's an illness. It's an illness that goes around the Jets locker room, and Salah started it because he's ill in the head. Ill in the head. Clown.
But I got 2 more shout-outs in the chat. Shouts to Music Make Me High, who's one of the newer people from last night's Notre Dame stream. 2 will have more to throw today because they don't have their starting. Yeah, Devon Shane is a
chance.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then what's up to Raph in the chat? What's going on, Raph? But in thoughts in this game, honestly, if you ask me to make a prediction, I'd probably say that I'm not talking about game prediction. I'm talking just like something to happen. I'd probably go and say that CJ Stroud ends his interceptionless streak today. To who? It could be Marshawn Lattimore or somebody else, but I feel like that streak is going to end. I feel like this is a trap game for the Saints because they're not necessarily too much above water in this. I think they're like, let's see, we're in week 6.
They're
Saints,
3-2.
They're 3-2, and the Texans are 2-3. So this
Texans might come out inspired.
Yeah, they could easily come out inspired. Yeah, the Saints defense top in the league. The Texans are still getting up there. So yeah, man. I mean, I think this is going to be an exciting matchup to watch overall. John, if you want to have any thoughts on this game.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm not gonna say we're not into betting yet. We're not at that segment yet, but it is something that I will definitely mention because you guys have mentioned some of my good points already. But nevertheless, you look at the Saints, coming off a win, Texans coming off a loss. I mean, the Saints, they should be flying high. They just thumped New England, and New England's nothing to write home about right now. But this is going to be a really tough matchup because CJ Stroud has defied the odds of being like the typical rookie quarterback that struggles. Mm-hmm. And he's been great this year. Like his deep ball has been good. The pocket awareness has been good. Like, I mean, would you not say Stroud is the guy? I mean, right now he should be the favorite for offensive rookie of the year.
He probably should. He's
in that conversation with Puka Nacua.
Nacua, yeah, he's definitely there too. And so I say that, Stroud, he's going to have his hands full with the secondary. And then on the other side, I think, the key matchup, this Saints offensive line has struggled. I mean, Derek Carr has already been banged up this whole year. So maybe Will Anderson does have a big day today. And maybe that front for the Texans can break, chip away at Derek Carr. So, and again, it's not that Derek Carr, he hasn't looked the best in this offense, and the offense for the Saints has not looked good. So, and then you also had tie that in with not a continuity, the Alvin Kamara suspension, other than Chris Olave, who he's had his struggles. There hasn't been they lack weapons. Michael Thomas hasn't had the best season. Tight end Juwan Johnson hasn't had the best season. Rashid Shaheed, the third receiver, hasn't had the best. So, but again, this defense, They really are one of the better defenses in the NFL. I mean, you got Cam Jordan on that edge, who's been there a mainstay for years. Teron Matthew and Lattimore in the
Mario
secondary. Davis is linebacker. Pete Warner, you guys mentioned earlier. So it is going to be an interesting matchup. Remember, in the Book of Wonder, I am the only one that picked the Texans to win this game. You guys had the Saints.
Right.
So.
Wait, hold on. Shit. Because I actually made a prediction that no, I'm not saying you're wrong, John, but I actually wrote in my opinion, my prediction that is actually contrary to that, but we'll go over that later.
Okay.
Music Made Me High says, I don't think so. The Saints defense is the Saints defense. CJ will have a problem today. Yeah, I think this is the toughest matchup he's seen yet. But Luca, if you want to lead us into some predictions.
All right, so go into lead passer. Let's start off with that. Lead passer, I'm going to take Derek Carr. I'm going to go 245 yards and a touchdown. He won't do too much of anything.
Okay. Now, we got to write these. Well, John, if you want to reference it, it's in the original doc.
Okay.
So,
hold up, because I didn't know what game he was doing originally because he wrote it in the
hold up doc. Okay. So I'll say Derek Carr 235 yards, touchdown and a pick.
I'll say Stroud. I'll say he's got 220 today. I'll give him a touchdown and a pick.
Now, can I ask a question that's related to this game? This is actually involving fantasy. John, who should I start? Geno Smith versus Cincinnati or Derek Carr versus Houston? I mentioned the metrics for Houston. They are very mid-tier in their defense.
Well, again, I mentioned Geno a little bit. He's been, I want to say, around maybe average.
Yeah.
If I'm not to put it in nice terms. Not that he's been horrific, but
no, I know.
Derek Carr, I think, has a better ceiling, but his floor has kind of been awful.
Yeah.
Last week was arguably his best passing game. As that's how he was graded. I think he was in the top 8, top 10 for that. But Houston is an average defense. They're 16th in yards per attempt, 17th in passer rating, 16th in fantasy points per quarterback. But again, against the deep ball, they've been burned a lot. And Carr can throw a deep ball.
Yeah.
But so is he going to challenge that secondary? Because that's probably, where he wants to attack. So based on it really is a coin flip, in my opinion, because I think they're both. I think him and Geno are both in that same tier.
Yeah.
But if I, this might be a gut feeling pick for me. I think I'd start Geno.
That's what I'm planning to do, honestly.
I think I'd start Geno just because the offense has looked really out of sorts.
Yeah, for the Saints.
Yeah, it really has. So I would roll with Geno.
All right, so John and Alex gave their predictions. Moving on, leading rusher, I think Dameon Pierce has a day, actually. I think this can be his breakout game. I'm going 15 carries, 113 yards, and a touchdown. You got a healthy offensive line. Excuse me, CJ Stroud's going to make a couple of good throws. Obviously, I think a turnover will be involved, but he's gonna get that defense to back off the middle of the field, and I think that's going to give some running holes for Pierce to run through, especially Titus Howard. Obviously, Tunsil's back. Mostly healthy offensive line, I think, is a very good thing to bet on.
Right. So, just want to shout out Ron in the chat. What's going on, Ron?
Effect.
Also, by the way, I just want to shout this out. Ron is a big bettor. So, yeah, that's gonna be if Ron wants to stay, of course, till we get to that segment or whatever he chooses to do. I know he's won on some bets recently. But again, shouts to Ron. I put the channel link in the chat. So as far as leading rusher goes, the Saints really haven't got it off the ground. You know what? I'm going to go against the grain, and I'm going to say Alvin Kamara. Give me 78 rushing yards. And should I go with a touchdown? Yeah, we'll go with the touchdown.
Okay. I'm going to say Dameon Pierce. I'll cap him at 55 yards, and that's it.
Okay, so not a lot of rushing.
Okay, so moving into the leading receiver, I mentioned this guy a lot. I think I'm going to go with Dalton Schultz. I think he's going to be big for C.J. Stroud, especially as just a safety blanket. I don't know how often the Saints blitz, but I guess he'll be possibly facing some pressure today. Schultz, 95 yards, 7 receptions, 1 touchdown.
Okay. I'm gonna go with Michael Thomas. I'm gonna say 88 yards. I'll say he catch. You know what? No, Derek Carr's gonna go off script. He's gonna throw it to somebody else for a touchdown. But I'm gonna cap Michael Thomas at 88 yards.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Texans receiver Nico Collins, who's been sneaky good this year. I'm going to cap him at 75 yards, and I'll say he gets a touchdown today.
75 yards and a TD. Okay.
Leading tackler, I'm going to go old Jet Demario Davis, 8 tackles. I know I know with the old Jet thing, I could have also said Blake Cashman, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. I'm going to go Blake Cashman. I'm going to say
Blake Cashman revolution.
7 tackles.
He'd make 1 play, and then he would get hurt.
Yep, that was him. I'll go with I'll cap it at, I'm going to say 10 tackles for Pete Werner.
Okay.
Pete Werner, 10 tackles. Let me put that in red. I just want to see what the comment section looks like before we move on. Yeah, no problem, Ron. Listen, we appreciate you, and keep doing what you're doing as usual and stuff like that, Ron. You mean a lot. Should I bench Garrett Wilson for T. Higgins?
Well, it's funny because I'm going to hold off on the Bengals receiving core because I did want to talk about them in my fantasy segment. But in terms of Garrett Wilson, right, he hasn't had the best season in terms of fantasy. I think he's like he's 30th in fantasy points per game. So, again, it's not really his fault. But he is amongst top 10 in red zone targets. The issue is how much are the Jets going to get in the red zone. He's going to see probably a lot of Bradbury out there today. So, surprisingly, the Philly secondary hasn't been the greatest. But again, I always say it's hard to trust Jets receivers because of who's throwing them.
Right. And one nugget, obviously, I don't remember who the count was, but I just want to say they did a great job. I think they were a recent count that did some film work with Zach Wilson. Not just Zach Wilson, but the Jets in general. He was pointing out all the missed throws that he had last week against the Broncos, and boy, were they crucial throws. He missed Conklin wide open in the end zone. He missed Garrett Wilson on that one route that I showed you guys when I was doing the recap in the end zone. For some reason, there are Jet fans saying, hey, we won, so I guess we don't have to gloss over those missed throws. But that's just me. I mean, obviously with wins, I obviously take everything in a vacuum. I don't take everything positive. I don't take everything negative, but he missed some throws in the end zone. That's why I would kind of hold off on Garrett Wilson, but John makes a great point with the Bengals receivers. Again, it's hard to trust a Jets receiver when you don't know what Zach Wilson you're going to get.
Right. Shout out to Jacob in the chat. We already at 10 likes, so how about we push to 15?
Let's go, guys. Good job.
Okay, so moving to the sacks, I'm taking Jonathan Greenard. He's going to get one off of Trevor Penning.
Okay. I'm going to go Will Anderson for 1 sack.
I'm going to say that Greenard gets 2 sacks today.
So 1 up, Luca.
Okay.
By the way, I do have the numbers from predictions.
Oh, let's hear it.
All right. I'll wait till we get to the final score and then present.
We also have the Book of Wonder records.
We do.
That I have to add a win for each because we all picked the Chiefs on Thursday night. So clean sweep, guys.
Denver Broncos decided not to play offense.
Good. I'm glad they didn't.
Yep.
So that's that. And then final score predictions.
So, as I told John, I kind of altered mine. Now, I don't know if I could change it at this point in terms of what is written in the Book of Wonder.
I mean, the game really hasn't happened yet. So
yeah.
Do you want to change yours?
Yes, I want to change mine, and I'm taking 24-20 Houston.
Ooh,
Why am I on the big screen?
We haven't really had that. So let me go ahead and change Mr. Luca's pick. We'll cross out the Saints. Remember, also this is a first time for that, and also we had a first time prediction for a tie from Alex this week.
Listen, look, I have to have some big reward if I end up predicting a tie.
I told you you would. I told you.
Let's see.
You would.
All right. Final score. What did I have in the Book of Wonder?
You are the only one that has the Saints.
Yeah, let me stay with the Saints. I'm gonna go. Let's go 20-10.
20-10. Okay. I'm gonna go. I'm rolling with the Texans. I like Stroud. 24-20.
That's the exact same prediction as mine.
Really?
Yes, I said 24-20.
So all right. If in case you guys haven't written it down in the doc, I haven't written. You are? Okay. I was writing it down in the Book of Wonder in case, but
yeah.
That.
So let me get the prediction points. Luca and John are tied at 13.5.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at 12.5. But I will say this. I got a full point this week because in the Bills game, I predicted Matt Milano to get 10 tackles. And he got 10 tackles. That was against Miami, to be fair.
That is nice. Very good.
Just 27-24.
Do we all remember the updated Book of Wonder records?
You want to refresh our memory?
Yeah. So with the Chiefs win, I'll include the Chiefs win in there. And right now we do have the Ravens Titans. I'm not sure of the score of that game. I have not checked. I know the Ravens are up 3-0. I don't know if it changed. But the Book of Wonder, Luca in third place at 46-33. Alex in second place at 47-32. And I'm in first, 48-31. So again, I'm up by a game and I'm up by 2 games. So it's still very close. We've been very neck and neck.
Accurate.
No one's really pulled away from the race, but I gotta say, we're like all a good 10 games more than 10 games over 500. So
yeah,
pretty good.
I can't say this. Yeah. Anyway, just Armand with his score prediction, and Ben Wright says I think he's trying to say Christian or something like that. Maybe Christian Harris. Who knows? I don't know. But I guess at this moment we're gonna break into John's game. I'm gonna get the graphic up in just a second, and if Sunil was here, he'd probably rant at John for going over this game because Sunil is in his hate mood about this team, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. John, I'll let you have it.
Can I just say one thing real quick? I apologize deeply, but I don't want to interrupt John in a little bit, so I want to let John have his segment now. I'm gonna choose to depart now because the service is really slow for the trains. So if you don't mind, I'll just offer my final thoughts.
Go ahead.
Final thoughts. As they predicted, 24-20 Jets. Almost said Jets. Texans today against the Saints. Again, I wish you well.
I will ask you a question though. Did you have your predictions in stock for my game? And
I'll double check. If I don't, I'll just insert them right now.
Okay, because that'd be pretty prudent because we don't want you to insert them after and then cheat.
What? Why would I cheat?
I mean
that's not who I am. Why do you think of me this way?
Why do you think it's of some deep-seated emotional thought?
I think it is.
Yeah, Luca, John, ignore him. He's clowning around.
Just got to give me a second, then I'll dart out of here.
Behave, please. There's no clowning around. There's no cheating. Otherwise, it's a minus. We gotta. If there's any cheating of any sort, it's a minus off the record.
Of course, I'm not going to cheat. All right, I'll be here, and then I'm going to leave.
Okay, so John, if you want to start.
Hey, wonderful. Okay, so I said today, you know what? What are we going to predict? Any Sunday games? No, we're going to predict Monday Night Football and preview that because this game I find the most interesting of the week. That's not our games, of course. Before I do that, Armin says, Luca does not cheat like Alex does not believe in taking. That was funny, Armin.
Yeah, you're right on that one, Armand.
Good noodle. And Joe's in the chat. What is up? One of our members, guys. You guys can become a member if you guys want. You get
What's up, Joe?
bonus exclusive videos and stuff and coverage. So, Chargers, Cowboys. Chargers are at home, although it's not really home for them. But some of the storylines coming into this game, can the Cowboys, can they fix that struggling offense? Obviously, obviously they had that debacle against the Niners where Dak and that whole offense got destroyed on national television. So they are looking to obviously rebound. And, with the Chargers, they're coming off a bye, so they didn't get to play. They didn't play in week 5. Started out 0-2, but then won the last 2 before their bye. Their last one came against the Raiders. Disgruntled, definitely wasn't happy that day. Though I think that was the day that O'Connell started for them, if I'm not mistaken. But, the Chargers, they had to change some things up. We'll get into some of their changes personnel-wise. But can they keep their momentum going, having off the bye, looking a lot better in the last 2 weeks, obviously. And we'll get into some of the top week 5 performers. Obviously, I said the Chargers don't have any. They had a bye. So the Cowboys, it was pretty ugly for them. Dak Prescott went 14 of 24, 153 yards, a touchdown, and he threw 3 picks against the Niners. So pretty ugly for him. Tony Pollard did okay, 8 carries, 29 yards, but he had 4 receptions, 35 yards. But then he did lose a fumble to make a 4th turnover for the Cowboys. Their best receiver that day, CeeDee Lamb, 4 receptions, 49 yards. And then I guess their best player on defense, although they got walloped there too. Jaron Kearse, the safety, 4 solo tackles, a sack, and 2 of those tackles for a loss. Just a quick comment from Armin. He says, per Scheffner News, 49ers Randy Gregory will play today against the Browns. So the Niners getting richer in the I guess the rich getting richer. Obviously, their pass rush is already elite, but why not add more? You can never have enough of that. Cowboys, here's some of the team stats for them. 19th in passing offense, 10th in rushing, 8th in point scoring. Then their defense goes as follows. Second best passing defense in the NFL, 21st against the run, and 7th best scoring defense or points allowed. And for the Chargers, 6th best passing offense, 13th best rushing offense. So pretty good balance there. 7th point scoring. Then they have the worst passing defense in the NFL, 32nd. Rushing defense ranks 14th, so average. And then the points on the defense, 24th in the entire league. Some more news from Armin, as I do want to get to his comments. I don't ever want to ignore. Saints' Trevor Penning has been benched, according to Jeff Duncan. So, so that might, I don't know. That's not good. We just kind of previewed that.
Wait,
and
Luca, what's the hand up for?
Where was he raising his hand? I couldn't tell.
I don't know. It was just like he was doing.
Yeah,
this.
I was raising my hand.
But you weren't looking, so I didn't know if you were raising your hand.
No, I had my hand up for a bit. But anyways, John, if you don't mind, real quick, just can you please check the Book of Wonders, see who I had for the Bucs Lions game? I'm sure I had the Bucs. Just want to double check before I skedaddle because I have to do some packing.
You did. We all had.
Okay. All right. So, folks, obviously you can check my Twitter account for any Twitter activity during the game. I'll have some tweets, I'll have some photos, but I will see you all later. Have a good one.
I will text you, my man. I will definitely text you later today.
Later.
All right, so was he like stretching?
I don't know. He wasn't looking at me, so I didn't know what he was doing. Arbino says James Hurst gets to start at left tackle for the Saints today. So some big news there is Trevor Penning has been awful for them. I think we read some of the stats 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, because we were going through the Saints Bucs game.
Right, correct.
It's only hoodie fashion today on the stream now.
Yeah, no, it's dude, it's cold out. It is cold.
I gotta check the weather, but yeah,
I gotta layer up when I go to the gym in the afternoon before the game. But nevertheless, some of the more important matchups that I thought for this game. First off, it was definitely on the Cowboys side. Obviously, we talk about the offense, but the wide receiver group against this Chargers secondary, I did mention Chargers not the best pass defense. In fact, they have the worst pass defense in the NFL.
Damn.
Obviously, they shipped out J.C. Jackson, who they gave out that monster contract to. So in that secondary right now, you're going to see Michael Davis and Asante Samuel at the corner spots. They have a lot of high hope for Samuel, who's shown bits and flashes of good play. Then obviously the stud safety, Derwin James there. But some injury news for the Chargers is Gilman, the other safety, is out, the free safety. So maybe Dean Marlowe gets some time there. We'll see what they do to change that. But nevertheless, with the Cowboys and their offense, I mean, some of their receiver play has been not good, and that might just be a product of the whole offense itself. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is as good as anyone, but a lot of struggles, especially for Brandon Cooks, struggles for Michael Gallup this year. So that's been something to monitor. There's been, some fans for the Cowboys, and obviously they got a big fan base. They want to see more of Gavontae Turpin and Jalen Tolbert at this point because nothing seems to be working for this team. And then the other key matchup that I wanted to take a look at really quick was this Chargers interior offensive line against the Cowboys interior because, the Cowboys, they really, what they did this offseason, and I've said it in the past, they've tried to fire up this run defense. Obviously, you got Jonathan Hankins, Mazzie Smith is there, and I always mispronounce this man's name.
Odigizua?
Yeah, Odigizua. He's been very good as a pass rusher, but also good against the run as Alex is calling timeout. You see, at least he looked at me.
Yeah, at least I gave you eye contact.
Okay.
kind of the speculation we kind of had before, and this is news, so I ought to just bring it in.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets are willing to listen to trades about Carl Lawson, McCall Hardman, and Dalvin Cook.
Yippee! Great. Maybe they all have concussions, but anyway. Nevertheless, some also, they really have tried to shore up the run defense, but with the Chargers, right? They've done a pretty good job of running the football, despite the fact that Eckler hasn't been, healthy this year. Obviously, one of their first round picks, Zion Johnson, has been their left guard. He's been, it's been a bit of a learning curve. He played right guard last year, but he was a first round pick. Then they want him back at left guard. And then you got Will Clapp as their center and Jamari Sailor. So again, going to be very interesting to see how much they can push that Cowboys front and control the ground game for them. But Alex, nevertheless, I would like to do my position battles of who I think is better, or who has the edge, I should say. I'll start off, obviously, the quarterback. I don't even think it's close. I think Justin Herbert's elite. He's been one of the better QBs in the NFL statistically, and Dak Prescott. You guys want to hear a stat about Dak Prescott? You wouldn't. I don't know if you believe this, Alex, but the worst QBR in the red zone belongs to Dak Prescott this year.
I mean, if you asked me if I would believe that beforehand, I would say no. It's probably Zach Wilson or Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm. No, but it's Dak. I think his QBR in the red zone is like a 7.3. That's how bad they've been in the red zone this year. So
let's look up the red zone touchdown percentage while we're at it.
Go ahead if you want to give out that stat. Nevertheless, Herbert, who's been,
Dallas is 28th in that category.
What is it?
Dallas is 28th in that category.
28th in that category. Ouch. Not good.
The bottom two are the Jets and Pittsburgh.
Of course the Jets are there. Why wouldn't they be there? Nevertheless, we look at the running back spot. I think the Chargers have the better edge. I mean, first off, you get a healthy Austin Eckler in this game, which is key. He's been one of the better running backs for, I don't know, the past 5 years plus, up there.
Good point by Ron. Daniel Jones hasn't even made enough to the red zone.
that you know what? He might have a point there. As Armin giving us a score update. Ravens 9-3 over the Titans. Alex, you're the only one with the Ravens in that game. Me and Luca both picked the Titans, so you're looking good pretty early on. But don't gloat and celebrate yet. We're not.
I've loaded and celebrated before early. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. It was a pick that we did like maybe within the past 3 weeks, and then you guys picked somebody, and then I picked. No, I think it was the Detroit game we did against the Packers. You guys picked.
Yeah, we both thought Green Bay would have, take
Jordan
it.
Love decided to turn into
Lay
a
an
pumpkin.
egg. Lay an egg.
He wanted
Christmas cake. The Grinch came a little early for Green Bay, and Jordan Love laid an egg. But nevertheless, Eckler been one of the better running backs in football. Josh Kelly is not even a bad second option. He did a serviceable job. I think he had like 65 yards last week, although he had some struggles. But again, a healthy Eckler is going to be, I think, could be trouble. A guy that can also catch passes out of the backfield, which is something he's always been good at in his career. You look at the wide receiver group. I mentioned the struggles for the Cowboys. So obviously the Chargers, big injury. I think it was 2 weeks ago to Mike Williams, their second receiver on this team. So, you look at Keenan Allen, who's been having a fine year this year, has had that connection with Justin Herbert. The rookie Quentin Johnson been looking to kind of explode a little more. Maybe it could be a deep threat option. But Josh Palmer, another receiver for them. He's gotten a lot of targets over the past few weeks. Been very valuable for fantasy. You could expect that to go up too. I didn't think it would have that much of an impact because I thought it would go more to Quentin Johnson, but both of them with the Mike Williams injury could help. So Palmer's been good, and this whole receiving core has been good. The one thing on offense for skill position that I give the Cowboys the edge is the tight end group. I know, Gerald Everett and Donald Parham Jr. have been the two starters for the Chargers. But remember, they were expected to use Trey McKitty a little more. He was like a third-round pick for them back in 2021. That hasn't worked out. So, but you look at the Cowboys. I mean, Jake Ferguson has been a really solid option this year. Right. He's been. I know the Cowboys' offense hasn't been the greatest in the red zone, but he is a reliable pass catcher for them. So, where did he come from? What college? Because I know he was drafted.
Jake Ferguson.
Yeah, I know he was drafted.
It wasn't Ohio State. It was Wisconsin.
That's right. He was from Wisconsin, but he's got good size and speed, and he's got good ball skills. So he's been probably the brighter part of the skill position group for the Cowboys, in my opinion. But we move on. In terms of the offensive line, I'm giving the edge to the Dallas Cowboys. First off, you got Tyron Smith back at left tackle, which helps them tremendously. He's been a mainstay there for years. Zach Martin might be the best guard in football. I think he's ranked first as a guard in quarter Pro Football Reference. He's been phenomenal there. There's been no signs of him slowing down. He's been really good in the run game too. But then Tyler Smith, Terrence Steele, just solid all around. This Cowboys offensive line is probably a top 5 unit in the league.
Martin is ranked 5th. Tyler Smith is rated as the first best guard in the NFL.
Oh, so maybe it was Tyler Smith that I was thinking of. But nevertheless, I think the Cowboys probably have a top 5 O-line unit. Not to say the Chargers have a bad O-line. They've been solid in the pass protection game. Obviously, you got Rashawn Slater as one of your tackles. So he's always protecting Herbert's blind side. But Armin giving us a little funny breaking news, saying, breaking news, the Jets have traded head coach Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich to NASA for freedom. NASA has sent Saleh and Ulbrich in a ship to the sun. That's a good one, Armin. And then we look more into the position battles. The Cowboys' defensive line has got the edge, in my opinion. Quick note also here, Joey Bosa is inactive today for the Chargers. Okay. So that does hurt them a little bit. I do have to change a prediction stat when we do that for the stat predictions, because originally I thought Bosa would be the leading sack man, but now he's ruled out, so I have to change that when we do that, obviously. But the Cowboys D front, obviously, DeMarcus Lawrence has been a really good. I mentioned the interior already, but you could put Micah Parsons anywhere, and Micah Parsons, I think, might be the best pass rusher in football right now. I don't have the pressure numbers in front of me, but he's either 1 or 2 in that category. It's either him or TJ Watt, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And disgruntled also, I didn't mean to gloss over your comment. You said that's what happens when you bet against the Raiders. Yeah, sure. Because the Raiders are so good. But Parsons, you can put him in linebacker, you can put him at pass rush, you can put him on the interior. He's been pretty much a mainstay. He's got my vote for defensive player of the year. Then we look at the inside linebacker position. I still want to roll with Dallas. Although, unfortunately, Leighton Vander Esch been out for the season. And by the way, Dallas runs a 4-3, while the Chargers more run a 3-4. And the Chargers, they got some solid players like Eric Kendricks and Kenneth Murray, but there's been some struggles in coverage this year amongst the linebacking group. But again, you look at Clark as the linebacker. They're going to have Marquise Bell now, so he's going to get some playing time. And they can put Parsons on the linebacking group too. He does have coverage skills as well. So I still give Dallas that edge. Now in the secondary, the outside linebacking group, I still give it to the edge to the Chargers now. Obviously, although no Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack had a fine day against the Raiders. As disgruntled knows,
he had 6 sacks.
6 sacks in one game. He reminded everyone why he's an elite pass rusher, can have those explosive days. We'll like a little more consistency, but nevertheless, he just absolutely destroyed that Raiders front on the offensive line. But, you look at him.
To be fair, I would bet, I don't watch the game fully. Maybe Disgruntled could provide some advice on this, but I would like to think that some of those sacks were on Aiden O'Connell, just hypothetically.
Probably. No, yeah, you're probably
a rookie,
right.
Starting his first game.
Probably. But I still do like the Chargers pass rush. That is something they've been really good at consistently for a few years now. Then we look at the secondary, and obviously this one was a no-brainer for me. I don't know why Alex looks like he's the Sith Lord right now, but he's clowning around. Nevertheless, the Cowboy secondary, unfortunately, they had the injury earlier this year. It was to Trayvon Diggs, but you still got Stephon Gilmore, who's been excellent. Deron Bland has stepped up at corner. He's been really solid too. I think last week he was graded the best corner out of anyone, or it was either last week or 2 weeks ago. So he's done a phenomenal job in the absence of Trayvon Diggs. Obviously, I think Jaron Kearse had a really good game last week, and Malik Hooker is a really good ball hawk. So I really do like the Cowboys secondary for the edge. And in terms of their special teams, I give the Cowboys the edge too. Kevontae Turpin is someone who's got really good speed as a return man. He can return kicks and punts, so hopefully maybe he breaks free today. Brandon Aubrey is been a very good kicker. I think he's made 90% of his field goals, if I'm not mistaken. And Brian Anger, the punter for the Dallas Cowboys, is averaged more than 50 per punt. So chalk that up for the Dallas Cowboys special teams unit. But before we go into picks, there is some other notes and some more analysis I did want to provide on this game, but just besides the position breakdowns. Obviously, the Cowboys have really, like I mentioned earlier, the struggles have been with the skill position group. Not to say that Dak has been amazing, and maybe it's Mike McCarthy not calling, because, you got CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee's been fine. It's not him. He's not the culprit. Tony Pollard's been up and down. There's been games where he's been fine, and there's games where he just hasn't looked that good behind that freak unit of an offensive line. But Brandon Cooks has been good everywhere he's been, Alex. But this year has been probably statistically his worst start to a year. You had Michael Gallup coming back. Again, injured last year, but he's had a really slow start. So I think the Cowboys might need to take a chance on a wide receiver somewhere and go trade for one, because this group has not worked out. if they don't like the personnel they have, maybe, someone that becomes available, a team like the Dolphins have a plethora of wide receivers. Maybe you go get who knows, maybe a Chase Claypool, Cedric Wilson
Claypool already got traded, so
maybe they go again. But maybe a Robbie Chosen. I can't believe it's still Chosen, but nevertheless.
He's the chosen one.
Right. But maybe a Braxton Berrios, like just somebody else in that group, because whatever it is, something ain't working here. Maybe it's the wide receiver coach that needs to go, because it's not that they don't have the talent. Like we mentioned that group, it should be one of the better groups in the league, but they simply just have not gotten it done. And with the Chargers, I mentioned, something I wanted to mention for them. They have had a lot of injuries to them. There was some time out for Derwin James, Austin Eckler, I mentioned, Donald Parham, the tight end. And obviously they're still without, they're missing, I mentioned the injuries earlier with Bosa and Gilman for week 6. But they've had to change a lot, okay, because it didn't look good in the first 2 weeks. So again, Mike Williams, another guy I mentioned, but they've had to really, change a lot on the fly. The trade for J.C. Jackson also was a big change. So can they keep the momentum riding? I think they do, because, and I'm not saying Brandon Staley is like this excellent coach, but they have a lot of talent on this group, like a ridiculous amount of talent. So, and they have good depth too. Like their backups are not scrubs, in based on what I've seen. But I do think that the Chargers are going to keep the streak going. Obviously, some guys that failed amongst this group. Trey McKitty, they had a lot of hope for him, but I think he's like tight end 4, and he's getting like maybe less than 25% of the snaps for the Chargers. So again, they might need to go and get a blocking tight end, someone that can help them out in that department. The running back help, Eckler is good. Thank God he's going to come back, because other than Josh Kelly, the other guys on the roster, Isaiah Spiller and Elijah Dotson, really nothing to write home about. One guy that I actually thought of recently that could help them, maybe a Samaje Perine from Denver as another back to add for that depth, because God forbid Eckler goes down again. They're going to be in shambles in that department. And they can use some receiver depth as well. Unfortunately, it did take a hit. Something that was strong hasn't become the best. Maybe they trade for a receiver, maybe they sign somebody, so who knows what it has in store for them. But Alex, do we want to do stat predictions?
Yeah, so I do want to touch on this
for your
just
thoughts,
for a tad. For as long as I can remember, I know Dallas has had the Chargers number in Los Angeles. And obviously that's where it's being played today. Well, actually tomorrow, rather yet. And the Chargers have an easier schedule down the stretch than Dallas does. And obviously they're in 2 tough divisions. If I'm pulling up the standings right now, the Chargers, where they currently sit, let's see. Chargers are in 2nd place. So obviously they'd be tied with the Raiders if they lose. The Raiders, they play the Patriots today, and I predict that they're going to win that game. But they have an easier spot. Also, in a weaker NFC, the Cowboys are still going to be 2nd place. I guess either way, depends on what the Commanders do. But the Chargers down the stretch, aside from Kansas City next week, they play Chicago, which should be an easy matchup for them. They also play the Jets on Monday Night Football, so that's gonna be an interesting game. We'll get to stream that. And then they play Detroit, which is a little bit of a test, but kind of gets a little tougher. It's a mixed bag, but over the next few weeks for Dallas, I mean, they do have the bye next week. Then they come out against Los Angeles, being the Rams, and then they're in Philadelphia. So it could be it depends. In my opinion, overall, they have to win this game. For either hopes of the division or getting a solid wild card spot. I know again Sunil, our friend who pops up in the chat every now and then, is a little upset at the Cowboys right now, thinks that they're going to tank. They're not going to tank. I promise you that. They shouldn't tank. But yeah, so I think we could start dipping into some stat predictions.
All right. Did you want to start or?
I must say, for what you have on the sheet there, the math doesn't add up because you put 1 rushing touchdown, you put 4 passing touchdowns, and it's up to 30 points.
Oh,
That'd be
oops.
5 touchdowns. Yeah,
Hold
so
up.
we
My
have
mistake.
to
My mistake.
we have to correct John.
Oh,
What are
what?
you
You
doing?
didn't get a buzz earlier. You made a
What are
mistake.
you talking about? Yes, I did.
Give yourself an extra one.
No, yeah, okay. Half of New England is hurt. If Josh loses this one, he better be fired on the field immediately after the game. Disgruntled says touchdown, Zay Flowers. So see Almighty wherever you are. Zay Flowers decided to honor you, and it looks like my Ravens pick is winning right now, sucker. But anyway, so let's see what we got here. Lead passer. Give me Dak. 270 yards. And I'll go 2 touchdowns and an interception.
I got my guy, Justin Herbert, at 260 yards today and tomorrow and 3 touchdowns.
Okay. Moving to the leading rushers, I got should I go Austin Eckler? Nah. I'm gonna go with wait a minute. I'm gonna go Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard.
And I'm gonna say that he gets 68 rushing yards. No touchdown though.
All right. I got for the receiving group, I got Josh Palmer, 5 receptions, 75 yards, but I say he gets 2 tutties tomorrow night. I say he gets the red zone work.
Okay. All right. Ravens. Armand says Ravens went for 2. Called P for PI. Thank you for the update, Sir Armand. Lead receiver. I think I'll. Let's see. Should it be Joshua Palmer? Should it be? Say Mike Williams was out. Is Keenan Allen hurt?
No, he's healthy.
He's healthy.
He's been
balling,
man.
We're gonna go Keenan Allen. He's on my own fantasy team, so.
So
let me go. 85 yards.
Okay, 85 yards.
Right.
All right. Lead tackler today, I got. God, I keep saying today. Tomorrow night, Micah Parsons for 10 tackles.
Okay. I'm gonna go Eric Kendricks, and I'm gonna say he gets 8 tackles.
8. All right. The lead sacker will be Sebastian Joseph Day, and he's gonna get 2 sacks tomorrow.
Okay. And I'm gonna go Marcus Lawrence 1.5.
Wow. Armin says the next play, the Ravens got their extra point blocked. Wow.
Well, that's what happens when you have the penalty like that.
Wow.
The momentum shift. Just keep winning, Ravens. I want to be right.
No, Tennessee, you guys can come back. You got some momentum. Good job, special teams.
And then final score predictions. I'm going to take the Cowboys here. I'm going to say, let's go 26-21.
All right. I'm going to say the Cowgirls lose to the Chargers 30-24. So Neil would not be happy with my pick, but I think the Chargers.
No, yes, he would. Remember, he's in his tanking phase now.
They're not tanking. Oh, my God. Such a baby.
I promise you, folks, that they're probably not tanking.
They're not tanking.
They're not taking. Okay. They're not taking, guys. Wait, hold on.
Not.
They're not taking.
You know what? At least I'm for the tank.
Yeah, okay.
Cloud.
Like that's supposed to be some up. You're trying to one up me, like that's so supposed to be a bad thing. Okay, all right, yeah, all right, John, all right. Can't wait to see you in 2 weeks when you guys are rooting on the tank.
Exactly, they should be.
The Jets should already be tanking.
Well, no, not yet.
Okay, all right. Anyway, we move into the next game, and this is the final game preview we're doing for Week 6. And I'm honoring Brian's team, and it's the Bucs hosting the Detroit Lions. 28-21 Chargers. Okay, all right. So he's on the John side of things. Greg is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we got the Bucs. We got the Lions, and the Bucs are coming off of a bye. So that's worth noting. Let me just get the correct doc up here because Luca decided to write in the wrong doc. So storylines. A lot of injuries piling up for the Detroit Lions. Emmanuel Mosley's out for the season. Jahmyr Gibbs is out for the game. Brian Branch is out for the game. Jonah Jackson's out for the game. Josh Pashall's out for the game. So that's a key starter in that secondary, their running back, an edge rusher, and their starting left guard. So I'm going to predict that Hal Vata'i is the starting left guard for this game. He's a veteran, so he's good at his job. Storyline H, which is the storyline for the home team. Healthier team for the Tampa Bay Bucs. They had some injuries within the first few weeks. With that extra bye, they're mostly healthy. And then also in this game, John, we've been probably circling this for a little bit here, and they didn't really show us this against the Eagles. But what my storyline is, if they at least play, if they win today, like I don't know what the level of standard is that we have. What does it take for you to have to take the Bucs seriously? Because I know Baker Mayfield, a quarterback, isn't necessarily the recipe to take them seriously.
Like I don't take him seriously, but I'm starting to take this roster seriously.
Oh, like you don't take the coach seriously too, because he's Todd Bowles.
I don't take him. I don't think he's that good either.
So
that might be a little biased.
I think if they win this game, I think you have to take them seriously.
Oh, I could say that.
If they play close enough to where it's like a 1-score or a 3-point game, then I think you got to take them seriously.
Yeah, no, the Lions are a juggernaut. We've covered them in 2 games this year. We saw them play really good.
Exactly. They got the top offense in the league, and then the Bucs have one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah.
So the injury report, we talked about Brian Branch being out. We talked about Jonah Jackson being out, along with James Mitchell, the tight end, Emmanuel Mosley, Josh Pashall, and a couple other guys too.
Jahmyr Gibbs too.
Right, Jahmyr Gibbs. Sam Laporta is questionable, and so is Khalil Dorsey. I'm going to see if I can find something on Twitter via Schefter or one of the other guys, see if they have a report on Sam Laporta. He's expected to work out pregame to see whether he could play or not. So that's going to tell you everything you need to know. Now, let's go to week 5 top performers. Now, I'd have to go back to week 4 for the Bucs because they had the bye, but this was against the Panthers. Jared Goff, 20-28, 236 yards, 3 touchdowns. So not like the highest in yards, but he gets the 3 touchdowns. David Montgomery, who's been their bell cow back every single game, 19 carries, 109 yards, and a touchdown. Lead receiver, no Amon-Ra St. Brown last week, so they had to turn to Josh Reynolds, who's been arguably their second best receiver. 4 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown. Aiden Hutchinson. Now, I don't have the pressure numbers in front of me, but based on what I saw, the Panthers' O-line was getting hammered. They didn't allow too many quarterback hits, but a lot of pressure coming from Aaron Glenn's defense. Aiden Hutchinson had a sack, 2 tackles for a loss, and a quarterback hit. Will Harris had a fumble recovery, and then Alex Anzalone had 2 quarterback hits and a tackle for a loss, and also 11 total tackles. You move to the Bucs, going back to the Saints game. They played well. Baker Mayfield, not the most yards out there, but this was against a solid defense. 25-36, 246 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. They still can't get that ground game going. Rashad White, 15 carries, 56 yards, 3.7 yards per carry. Chris Godwin had a very good game, 8 catches, 114 yards. Antoine Winfield and Logan Hall had a fumble recovery each. Antoine Winfield Jr. had a sack and a quarterback hit. And also Vita Vea was very big in that performance. 2 sacks, 3 tackles, 2 quarterback hits, and a tackle for a loss. So maybe hint, we'll look at that as a matchup for this interior offensive line. Now you take a look at the Detroit Lions. Passing offense, 9th. Rushing offense, 7th. Points offense, 4th. So if you folks are looking for a new head coach, Ben Johnson is probably at the top of your list. And I know John is raising his hand because he is in that category. I guess the camera's over there. Passing defensively, they're not bad. 17th in passing defense, 3rd in rushing defense, 15th in points defense. You look at the Tampa Bay stats, 13th in passing offense, which isn't bad considering your quarterback is Baker Mayfield, but I believe, was it Adam Canales? Is that his name? Has made it happen. The offensive coordinator, coming over from Seattle. It's not Canales. Hold on. Let me get the correct name. Because I remember it wasn't Adam Canales. It was somebody else. Well, Canales is the last name. It's just not Adam, to my knowledge. Let's see.
Dave Canales.
Dave Canales. Okay, so just the first name was off, but he's made it happen coming over from Seattle. 25th in rushing. Again, that's not great. And 21st in points. So maybe the rushing could contribute to that. Also, defensively, 16th against the pass, 10th against the run, 8th in points. Also, for the offensive lines, 2 very good units, sacks-wise, pass protection-wise. The Lions, 5th least sacks allowed. The Buccaneers, the least sacks allowed, only allowed 4 sacks in 5 games. So, actually, no, 4 sacks in 4 games because they did have the bye. Mm-hmm. Now, you look at, I'm going to leave top matchups in a second, but I want to go to position battles. QB, I'll go Detroit. Running back, I'll go Detroit. Wide receiver, I'll go Tampa Bay. I don't think that's a hard one, even though Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Detroit Lions. I'm still looking at Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Tight end, I'm looking very much at Sam Laporta and Brock. Well, I'm pretty sure it was Brock Wright. And Shane Zylstra is the one on IR. But again, they just have a better tight end function.
Right.
Than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The O-line, I'm definitely going Detroit here. Though, again, pass protection has been better. Seems like the run blocking hasn't been great for the running backs in the backfield for Tampa Bay. D-line, Tampa Bay. Inside linebackers, Tampa Bay. Everything on defense, I'll sum it up right here. Tampa Bay. And then special teams, I'll lean Detroit. And then not position battles, but top matchups. I'm looking for Josh Reynolds or Amon-Ra St. Brown versus Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean. Now, let's take a look and a glance at where Amon-Ra St. Brown and Josh Reynolds are. They're the 2 leading receivers for the Detroit Lions. St. Brown, 26 catches, 331 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then Josh Reynolds, 16 catches, 291 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So he's got more touchdowns, but of course, St. Brown missed the game. Carlton Davis in coverage, 57.9 completion percentage, no touchdowns allowed yet. 135 yards, 79.9 passer rating. He's only played in 2 games this year, but he's one of those guys that's going to be fully healthy for today. And then Jamel Dean, he's played only 3 games this year, missed 1, 9 completions on 13 targets, 69.2 completion percentage, 1 touchdown given up, 140 yards, and a 130.3 passer rating. You move to the defense still, and you move a little up front. Taylor Decker has surrendered 2 penalties and a sack versus Joe Tryon-Stryanka. 2 sacks, 5 quarterback pressures, and 4 quarterback hits. I'm a little underwhelmed, I should say. Yes, John.
Sorry, I had a Twitter update. Not this game, but it relates to another game, NFL news. Apparently, according to the Patriots, Mac Jones is on a very short leash today.
Mac Jones is a bum.
That's the report that I just saw on Twitter. So
who was it? Who's the source?
I think it was like one of those. I think it was like The Score, one of those that put it out there. I gotta take
JD, what's up? He says the bold prediction of the day: the Jets squeak by the
JD. I will have a heart attack if that happens.
You will be so happy. It's not even funny. But what was I gonna say? So moving forward, talk about Carlton Davis, talked about the secondary, talked about the first front matchup, the other front matchup. Penei Sewell, 3 penalties, has yet to surrender a sack versus Shaq Barrett. A sack, 7 quarterback pressures, and 5 quarterback hits. And you move to this matchup. Now, of course, it's in a little bit of doubt because Sam Laporta is questionable, but Devin White, whoever's going to be covering the tight end versus Sam Laporta, I think he's definitely been the best rookie tight end this year. I don't know that I would consider him like offensive rookie of the year caliber, but he's definitely, in there. John, would you take Mac Jones on the Jets?
No.
Zappy time. Yep. We'll see if Zappy time comes in week 13 against the Giants. Anywho,
that's right.
Moving forward, Devin White in coverage has actually been good. 66.7 completion percentage. Obviously, you don't like that, but 1 interception, no touchdowns allowed, 88 yards, and a 54.3 passer rating. Levante David has surrendered a little bit more, but still yet to give up a touchdown, a 90% completion percentage, 114 yards and 90 passer rating. And then finally, Antoine Winfield, the safety. He's been good in coverage, no interceptions, 1 touchdown given up, 99 passer rating, 41.7 completion percentage, and 99 yards. Now, you move again to the interior, something we've talked about over and over again. Dre Greenlaw is not expected to play today against the Cleveland Browns. So that's an interesting development.
I feel like we should just make Armand our designated.
He's like our Adam Schefter.
Yeah, he's really. You know what, Armand? You got on the wheel of quarterbacks. You know what?
It's also gonna be interesting, John. I called for it. What did I say? I called for it yesterday, I believe it was, or was the day before. I said we need that list of giant old linemen.
Mm-hmm. No, we're gonna do it. Look, he's giving us more news. I'm gonna just say it's an Armand bomb from now on, like how they do a Woj bomb. I'm gonna say an Armand bomb.
Okay. All right. What was I gonna say? Curtis Robinson has been elevated from the practice squad. I don't know who that is, but thank you, Armand. So I'm looking at this interior, and Vita Vea, Kalijah Cansey, Logan Hall versus Hal Vatanen. And if he doesn't go, it's going to be Coyote Awosika. Vita Vea, I believe he's the lead sacker thus far for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 5 quarterback hits, 6 quarterback pressures, 3.5 sacks. Then Kalijah Cansey, no stats on the season, but he's played 17% of the defensive snaps, has suffered some injuries. And then Logan Hall, half a sack, a quarterback pressure, and a quarterback hit versus Vitae and Awosika, who have not surrendered a sack. They haven't even played enough to even remark on their stats. And A-bomb. There we go.
A-bomb, Armand bomb. I like it.
A-bomb from
you
Armand.
Got in the Book of Wonder for good reasons, Armand.
Yeah. So it's like being on the nice list for Santa Claus. So I didn't tell Sir John about this, and this is actually opportune timing. We had Luca depart, so we have an extra guy.
Oh my God! I should have figured because he picked the Bucs.
No, actually, that was not the reason.
Really, that wasn't the reason.
I swear,
that was just coincidence.
Life, that was not the reason.
Okay, I really thought I had a feeling. I'm like, wait, is he gonna bring Brian on because he's previewing the Bucs? I'm like, nah, he did it last week. I'm like,
yeah, I know the timing was a little weird, but I'll tell you guys, the fact I'm even in here right now is very surprising. My work schedule has been a nightmare this week, and I've been working I'm on 3 consecutive shifts, going to like 3 a.m. and I'm here somehow. So I made it. But good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. I know I definitely missed a lot of previews. I definitely missed a lot.
It's fine.
It's all right. We still got fantasy football and betting advice coming.
Yeah.
Cool. How'd you guys do in betting last week? Because I just realized I looked through all my picks from last week for the games. This was my worst week by far this season.
Well, I was not on for last week, but the Book of Wonder still says I'm in the lead for the season. Okay. Brian, I know you do picks. What's your record this year?
So I went 7-7 last week. That was the worst I've done by far this year.
No, I just meant in total.
Oh, let me get the number. Actually, it's on my phone.
Yeah, go ahead. Compare it to ours, my man, because I know you do every week.
Yeah, so I have this week's picks as well, but I did on my podcast on Friday. I have to go through.
Yeah, you guys go check it out.
Yeah.
All right, let me see. I save them in my notes on my phone so I can tell people about it. But it's very embarrassing. Very embarrassing. Let's see. Usually I'm better with predictions, but this year's been a little weird for me.
Not for us. We've been killing it.
47-33.
Not terrible.
It could be way better, though. Could be way better.
Well, okay. I mean, I'm at 48-31, and then these two gentlemen are. It's like I'm up a game on Alex, and then Alex is up a game on Mr. Luca.
Oh, so you guys have been going back and forth like crazy.
Yeah. It really hasn't been consistent. Titans muffed a punt, and the Ravens recover with 1 second left.
What the hell is going on with special teams in that game? What the hell?
I warned everybody the Titans were going to be a mess. They were going to be a mess in this game.
You know, Brian, I was the only one who picked the Ravens out of the 3 of us.
Why? Why did everybody else think the Titans all of a sudden were going to have a come to Jesus moment?
Look, the Ravens had a really bad game against the Steelers.
But that doesn't mean they're going to have a bad game against the Titans. The Titans are significantly worse. And I mean, you're basically banking on Ryan Tannehill being a serviceable quarterback.
You're correct. You're correct. I thought he could be a little serviceable.
You tell me.
No, you're correct. I did expect a defensive game, but damn, the Titans.
No, not even defensive. Not
I'm
even
real-
close. Zay
I'm-
Flowers just got his first career touchdown, I think, today too, right?
I know
I know he
one
got
of
a
our guys,
touchdown.
Almighty, has him, so congrats to him.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Almighty.
I have him on fantasy too.
Oh, nice.
I needed a big win this week. Thank you also for plugging the Twitch. Quick heads up there, everybody. I do my Twitch shows for the weekday mornings, 10 a.m. Trying to do 10 a.m. now, given off how work has been. But 10 a.m. Eastern time every weekday. I go through a lot. It's usually somewhere between an hour and a half show to 3 hours. Always. No guarantee. It's always in between there. And trying to experiment with call-ins as well. Trying to see if I can do some call-ins so people can ask some questions. Tomorrow's supposed to be Monday therapy session.
No, Monday.
So
therapy.
everybody's got to let out their thoughts and how they're feeling.
We'll have a therapy session tomorrow night after Robert Saleh diagnoses some more doctor news with concussions and illnesses. But it's the same thing to him. But
do you know what happened with that, Brian?
Excuse me?
You don't know? Okay, so the full story on what.
Do I get to explain it?
Let John do it. He's
Sure.
a Jets fan.
Sure,
Let
Jets
him explain it.
The wonderful, wonderful Robert Saleh says, Sauce has an illness on Friday. Not to mention that DJ Reed's out with a concussion. Not to mention we already have other injuries. We put Justin Hardy on IR. Not to mention Brandon Eccles is out. But don't worry, Sauce is just an illness. The next day, Sauce has a concussion. How is an illness a concussion? It makes no sense. It's not the first time. He did it with Becton in previous years. He did it with Carl Lawson. It said day to day. He was out weeks in training camp. We had to put him on milk cartons because we couldn't find him.
Listen, maybe Zach Wilson came back in the middle of the night, smacked him in the head with the helmet, and gave him a concussion because he's like, listen, I don't want
That's an illness to him, though. That's an illness. Illness.
Yeah, but here's the thing, too. Sauce literally tweeted on Twitter that he feels fine.
Just Philly fans are saying that Sauce didn't want the smoke. It's hysterical. Philly fans saying he didn't want the smoke, so he faked the concussion.
Who, John?
God.
Oh no, he's gonna.
All I know is
it's getting hot now. I got worked up, so
all I know is I got AJ Brown on my fantasy team, and he's gonna go crazy today.
Yeah, I got AJ Brown too.
They're gonna have 30,000 passing yards on the Jets secondary today.
Yeah, wow.
Definitely smack that over, folks. But
crazy.
Yeah.
We're gonna start Hall and Craig James.
The secondary is Bum Hall and a bunch of shit today, says Armin.
Bum Hall, Craig
This
James. Gee, this is gonna be a nightmare.
Speaking of which, you want to talk nightmare? You guys are talking about this Lions Bucs game. This is going to be a nightmare of a game for both squads. It's going to be really tough.
I said that, me and John were talking about it before you came in, that if anyone wants to believe in the Bucs and they win this game, you have to believe in the Bucs.
Listen, I love my Bucs. I will die on the hill for them no matter when. However, I'm also not an optimist with them because I've seen so many things with them.
True.
And you saw what happened a couple weeks ago when I picked the Saints to beat the Bucs, clearly. And instead, the Saints decided to get completely pummeled by Tampa Bay. Now, this game, I don't expect Tampa Bay to win. I want you guys to know that. I don't expect them to win this game.
Okay.
I love being the Creamsicles, but the Creamsicles have a long history of losing.
Okay.
So I definitely feel like the tradition continues today. We're going to lose to Detroit.
Oh, boy.
According to the Book of Wonder today, the panel here, the three of us, have the Bucs in a clean sweep and saying they pull
And I
off
have
the
Detroit. Wow.
Yeah. This is
You ought to figure Brian not going with his team.
Listen, I tell you guys, I'm a realist with everything. I just feel like this is a game when I pick against them, they win.
I also think Brian would be a
I'm not
realist
gonna fight
and
with
know
you.
the difference between illness and concussion.
Yeah, unlike Mr. Robert Saleh.
Listen, Antonio Brown is an illness.
He is ill
Sauce
in the head.
Gardner does not have an illness. And a concussion is just, like a little cloud-headed.
Robert,
mine's a little cloudy. But
Robert Saleh has an illness in his head.
Samini just tweeted out a pic of Salah running the stairs now. Salah needs to run to class and learn understanding.
No, he needs to learn
Don't worry,
anatomy.
He's got the show in his ears and his headphones.
Maybe he's running to the team doctor so he can diagnose some more fake injuries.
I said it to Luca yesterday. I said, obviously the Giants have a shit ton of O-line injuries, and thank you, Armand. I did read that thing you sent me regarding Giants injuries. The Giants have a ton of injuries, right? But it's like the Jets; they create injuries. I mean, like I've never seen this stuff before, but
They just pull them up out of nowhere. They really
it's
do.
like Sauce.
But
Yeah.
besides
It's like pick it out of a hat. What does Sauce have? Oh, he's got a concussion.
Oh, I think supposedly there were some rough injuries today as well for Detroit. That's going to put Buccaneers at an advantage,
Jahmyr
which I read
Gibbs,
about.
Brian Branch, Jonah Jackson.
I also heard that to keep an eye on Laporta, they said he was going to be a game time decision. If
Yes,
Laporta
it is
can't go, I may switch my pick to Tampa Bay. If Laporta can't go, I'm picking Tampa.
Okay.
But if he goes, I'm still siding with the Lions. This is going to be a nail biter regardless.
Right.
But I mean, Tampa Bay offensively, I told you, I went on my rant last week. I'm still shocked that John hasn't seen the rant.
He hasn't seen the rant. He's been told about it.
I was
The
told I didn't get to.
explosive
I didn't have a
rant
chance.
that I brought back the bold take because I was so confident in Baker Mayfield. I brought it back.
Oh no, I saw that. I saw that.
That explosive
That I
rant,
saw.
that I just let everything get the best of me. I really did. But I'm still going to stand by it. I think he could finish as a top 10 quarterback in the NFL by the end of the season. If he continues to play he's doing, he really should be. But again, I'm not saying up high top end. I'm saying low end 10, like 9 or 10. He could squeeze into that spot. That's all.
I'm sure he can. But regardless, Alex, were you finished with your analysis before I got a little into mine for this game?
So I'll just go into two more matchups that I wanted to go into. Luca Gadecki versus Aiden Hutchinson.
Aiden's going to kill him. Aiden's going to kill him.
I knew that was going to come out of his mouth. But Aiden Hutchinson is very high on the pressure list. He's got 22 quarterback pressures, 4.5 sacks, and 8 quarterback hits versus Luca Gadecki, who's surrendered a sack and 3 penalties this year.
It's actually way better than we thought.
Yeah. Like I know PFF has him at least in the 70s, which is, that's good, I guess, PFF standards and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then finally, Cam Sutton and Jerry Jacobs versus Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So if you're looking at Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, he has 3 touchdowns on the season, 20 receptions, 337 yards. I'm pretty sure Godwin caught a touchdown. If he didn't, I'm wrong, against the Saints, or did he not?
I'll confirm that.
Okay, because I feel like ESPN is doing some weird stuff. So according to Jeff Darlington, Sam Laporta is expected to play. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so then so that knocks the idea out of the window. So then I still think they're going to barely win. They'll barely squeak it out. But the big story to talk about in that receiver group also is that Mike Evans is still nursing that hamstring injury. He's good to go today, but he may not be at full speed. He's not going to be 100%. So that's something to watch. Right. So Godwin may get a little bit more attention. But if there's anybody who's going to get touchdowns, it's going to be Evans somehow. It always is.
True. And then in coverage, Cam Sutton, Jerry Jacobs. Sutton's been good this year. 99.7 passer rating. You like that a little lower. A touchdown given up, 60.9% completion, and 179 yards given up in total versus Jerry Jacobs, who's given up 61.4% completion. 3 interceptions on the year, 2 touchdowns, and a 65 passer rating. So that finishes up the part of the preview I have. And then we have stat predictions.
All right.
So I will go first. I will say that Baker Mayfield. Actually, I don't know if this was Luca that punched. I think this is Luca who punched in his stuff. Yeah, it was. So anyway, leading passer, I'm gonna go Jared Goff, and I will say he throws for 254 passing yards, and I'm gonna say let's go with 2 touchdowns.
Okay. Also, Godwin did not record a touchdown this year. No.
Okay. All right.
This is actually because I do think it is going to be a closer game, but I believe that I say Jared Goff has more yards today, and I will cap him at 245 with 2 touchdowns, but I'll also say he throws a pick today.
Okay. Make sure you put that in the correct doc.
Well, yeah, I'm not your brother, but
Yeah, and not Luca.
I'm gonna write it in the Book of Wonder and then send you off. I said 245 touchdown and
And then Sir Brian.
I'm going to stick with the Lions too on that. I think Jared Goff probably be the more prolific passer today.
Mhm.
They're more than likely they're going to go over 300 yards passing. I think he'll hit 310 today. And it's only because the Buccaneers pass defense allows, I think they're like fourth most passing yards in the league. I'm pretty sure. And the only downside with them is if I compare it to their actual offense of Tampa Bay, statistically they are the worst offensive team in the league. Like the worst. Which still blows my mind, but they are.
Okay.
And by that I mean like their yardage is good or whatever, like it's not horrific. Yards per game isn't bad passing, but when you get to the rushing end of it all, we are like terrible. We're not a good running team. And overall, I just process everything with the passing yards and everything. Detroit has obviously been like a top 10 passing offense this year. And J-Mo's still good to go. Reynolds is good to go. Amon-Ra is good to go. So then that would mean they've got all three of their weapons that they need if they don't have Sam Laporta. So you're going to see those three, making some impact there. So I'm riding with Goff here, 310.
Yeah. Shots to Barbara in the chat. Lead rusher. I'm gonna go with David Montgomery for this one. I'm gonna say, let's go with 74 rushing yards.
All right, I'm also gonna say Montgomery, but I'm only gonna cap him at 60 today.
Okay.
He's had a few good games in the past, but I do like the interior for the Bucs.
I'm going to say it's going to be Montgomery as well. Detroit has the third lowest rushing yards allowed per game right now in the league, and they're at like 68 yards. So that means Rashad White's going to get smothered. So he's maybe going to be in like the 30s or 40s in rushing yards today. But meanwhile, Tampa Bay, they're not a bad rushing defense at all. They're still somehow in the top 10 and 94.8 yards per game. But we know what David Montgomery has looked like this year and what he's done. Give me Montgomery with like 71 yards. I'll be more detailed. 71.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Lead tackler.
Ooh,
Who am I gonna
that's a good
go
one.
here?
Wait, we didn't lead receiver.
Oh, my bad on that one.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go Josh Reynolds, 97 yards and a touchdown.
Ooh, I like that.
Good. You know what? I'll say Chris Godwin. I'll give him 90 yards and a touchdown.
Oh, first touchdown of the year, huh? First tutty. Okay.
He's getting it.
All right. Well, I'm not sure if I'm on that train, but if I choose somebody, I'm going through receiving RC leading guys. I'll give you the one I'm thinking. I'm gonna go basic. I'm gonna be the basic guy. I'm going with Amon-Ra. Since Laporta's going to be on a snap count more than likely with this injury, and if he's a game-time decision, I'm going to say Amon-Ra gets the most receiving yards. He's going to go over 100 today. He's going over 100. He's getting a touchdown himself. That's Amon-Ra's day. The only closest guy that could catch him is going to be Mike Evans, who's still in the top 20 for receiving yards right now in the league. And he's probably going to be in like the 70s. And it'll only be on like 4 catches. It'll be in the 70s. He's just a deep route guy. So Evans is playing, yes. Evans is playing.
Yep. Okay. Lead tackler. I got Alex Anzalone at 9 tackles.
Good pick.
I'm going to go with Antoine Winfield, and I'll say he's a monster day. Has 10 tackles, and I'll also say he gets a pick today.
Okay, so you guys are going with Antoine. Okay. That's fair. I'll go with Levante David today. I'll say he's going to get like 7 tackles today as the leader. And I'll say that for Tampa. He's usually the big guy that plugs up everything in the second level. So I'm going with him.
All right. So lead sacker. Now, from my understanding, Tampa Bay really hasn't done a great job of getting to the quarterback.
That's bullshit, but okay.
Well, I thought, in sack-wise, I think they're, 23rd?
Well, let's see how many sacks we got. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8.5. We have 12 sacks this year as a unit.
Okay, so it's 23rd in the league. I think they should have a little bit more, but that's fine. Let me go Vita Vea for another game. I'm gonna go 1.5.
Nice. 3.5 sacks on the year. He's leading the team.
I like him a lot. Excuse me, we have an airplane that decided to fly over. But nevertheless, I got Aiden Hutchinson today, 1.5 sacks.
Not a bad pick. Just remember, how many times has Baker Mayfield been sacked this year? I want to see if anybody's got that stat. 4 times. That's one of the lowest numbers in the league to only be sacked 4 times through this point.
All right, Brian, Aiden Hutchinson, one of the best in the game.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
He's up there in pressure.
I'm just saying. Goff's been sacked more times than he has. And
no, I know.
The line is banged up. The offensive line is banged up.
I know.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
and then
I'll say for the sacks today, I'm going to stay in Detroit territory, though. I think they could lead. But again, I don't think really anybody's going to get major sacks today. Like, they only have 14 sacks on the year, Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not much better than Tampa Bay's been. But if there's anybody I think could get some good hits today, I'm thinking Alim McNeil on Detroit, the defensive tackle. Our interior has always been the question. So McNeil bull rushing down the center and guard spot could really open up some sack opportunities for him. That's our weakest area. And if they pull in a trap where they bull rush the middle and force Baker to roll right and they beat the right tackle, that's a combined sack right there. Boom, McNeil gets credit for a half or a full. That's usually the way it goes. So I'm guessing McNeil probably gets some stuff today.
okay. So John had to use the facilities. Moving on to the final score. I say Tampa Bay 23-21.
Again, I'm very happy you guys are picking Tampa Bay in a sweep. I'm very happy. I'm just a realist with my team. I know what they are. I know what they can do. And I'm never going to jump on the train and say they're good like that. Like, even though I had that massive rant, I'm still saying I treat them like a Make-A-Wish kid. They want something to happen. They really want it. Right? But you can only wish for it. You can only wish for it. You can't guarantee it. Oh, that's John's fantasy overview. Okay, we'll definitely go into that. If I'm going over the score, though, real quick, Tampa Bay is a bend, don't break defense. So they're very good at giving you all the yardage in the world, but they're going to make your life a living hell trying to get into that end zone. So with that, I'm going to add in here that Tampa Bay is going up against a really banged up Lions defense and offensive line. So that'll open up some scoring opportunities for them. I'm sticking with Detroit winning. I'll say Detroit wins it somehow. I mean it somehow. Probably around like a 20. It'll be like some weird score. Like 25 to 20.
Okay.
25 to 20. It'll be something really weird. Something really weird. 25-20.
The red zone defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ranks second in the league, only to Baltimore.
They're that good. That's what I'm saying. They're a bend, don't break. We'll give you all the yards in the world, but you're not getting that end zone. That's how we work.
Sir John, a score prediction. I'm just going to plug in my charger.
I said
25-20 Lions.
My score, I'm going to say 27-24 Bucs.
Again, very happy you guys are picking Bucs. I just know my team.
Yeah, he just knows his team.
Not to say that. Look, I could see it either way. It's going to be a close game. I do agree on that. I think the Lions have been one of the best teams in the league this year. I think the Bucs have been a very surprisingly good team, in my opinion. And I am going to give them their credit today. I think they can do it today. But that's enough for game previews. It's time for fantasy football. But Barbara, I don't know if I said hello to you in the chat today, but what is up? She's saying the Titans game is unwatchable. Yeah, they've been. Me and Luca might have been wrong.
They're good picks there, John.
You know what? You can't talk if you're in second place, buddy.
No, not after this. How many games are we off, John?
How many games did we not do a clean sweep? Let's see.
No. I'm talking like how many games are you up in the standings right now compared to me?
1.
Yeah, you know what?
So wait, hold it right there.
How many leads do you win by? This is simple mathematics.
Could you let me talk? I didn't disagree with you. This is simple mathematics. What are you, the next Robert Sally? But anyway, that is the game we are differed. The other games that we have differed, we have a lot of clean sweeps. So, actually, no, Luca's different on that one with the Bengals. We both have the Seahawks. Me and Luca have the Texans. You have the Saints. The weirdest one, you picked a tie between the Pats Raiders. I picked New England. Luca picked the Raiders. And on Monday Night Football, you guys both have the Cowgirls. I got the Chargers.
Oh, that's interesting.
Might have been.
No, yeah, no. We
100%.
are wrong. We are wrong. You
But
are
like,
correct.
what's the record between me and you?
It's one game.
No. So you in the total standings for this year, you have one more win than I do.
Yes.
Does that include the Titans game?
No, I have not marked it yet.
Okay, so once
It is
it's
not
marked,
a final score. I have
you
not
can't-
marked
You
it.
can't sit here and say, "Oh, I'm only up one game," and then be losing the current game that you picked like an idiot.
Okay.
Who
but
knows?
it's
The
not
Titans
official.
could come back and win still.
Shut up, Brian.
There you go, Brian. Okay, but
That's not going to happen.
are we all ready for
But
fantasy?
Baltimore they did it to Indy in week 3. Don't start that. They did it to Indy in week 3. They
Exactly.
choked away a lead and they came back.
Yeah,
Let's
you
not
know
go
what?
there.
That's about as rare as the Giants is winning a football game. Okay.
Speaking of rare, how about this? Indy, by the way, I don't know if they talked about it in the chat yet because I probably wasn't here if they talked about it. Anthony Richardson might be
Done.
getting shut down for the year.
Yep.
So it'll be the Gardner Minshew show. Could have worked out for the Jets too, but
No, it's not like I said that. Maybe what
You know, he
month did I say?
he
Did I say
say
that?
better than Zach
July.
Wilson.
July.
because he
August.
literally said it. He kind of said it. Well, I mean, he did say about backups, but also before the Aaron Rodgers trade, I know John was sarcastically gloating about the Gardner Minshew Ryan Tannehill experience.
Yeah. And you know what? It's still probably better. All right, but are we ready for fantasy now? I think
Yes.
it's time.
Sure.
All right. So some quarterbacks that I did want to talk about. First up, Sam Howell. I think at this point you should start to roster this guy, and I'll say here's why. With Sam Howell, right? He's actually had a lot of passing attempts, a monster volume for passing this season. He's actually 4th in that category, and he's also 6th in passing yards because, the Commanders are an awful team. So a lot of their game scripts force him to pass a lot because they've just been getting blown out. We even saw it, I think it was 2 Thursdays ago when they got mauled by the Bears, and it forced Howell to have a lot of passing attempts in that game as well. Now, you look at some of his other numbers and some of his matchups. He's been impressive in spurts, but it's not like consistent. It's not like he's been the most successful guy. 15th in yards per attempt, 22nd in fantasy points for a quarterback. So if you guys are looking for a backup or someone, you guys get an injury today, or you had someone that's injured, maybe if you had Anthony Richardson, maybe if you had Deshaun Watson, maybe this is a guy you could pick up as a backup. Today, his matchup is against Atlanta, and Atlanta is, a average defense in terms of passing. They're 15th in passer rating allowed, so they're pretty middle of the pack. They also are like 11th in pressure rate. So, and I don't think that offensive line is very good for Washington. I don't think any of us think that at all. But nevertheless, he's not like, this guy where it's like, oh, he's a must start guy, but you should consider rostering him just because of the volume that he's getting and the fact that his game scripts allow him to do that. So if you do have an injury, that is someone that you could consider picking up. Another quarterback that I did want to talk about was Brock Purdy, because a lot of questions like, how good is Purdy really? Is he this elite quarterback? Is he just a game manager? Well, besides that, he does have fantasy value. He's pushing, not just being on a roster, but he's pushing, being a starter every week, because he's been the 9th best quarterback fantasy wise. So he's, standard 12-team league. It's one of the better guys that you should be starting. He ranks 2nd in yards per attempt, 4th in adjusted completion percentage. And last week, he faced a good Dallas defense. They were good up until that point, and he just carved them up. I mean, the Cowgirl fans were crying. It was a brilliant sight to see. But nevertheless, the Brock Purdy era is been nothing but phenomenal for the Niners. And I know he's got a very tough matchup. I think the Browns, other than the Niners, have the best defense in the league. So this is going to be the toughest test for Purdy, in my opinion. They've held passers and quarterbacks to third lowest in yards per attempt, seventh lowest passer rating, and fourth fewest fantasy points. So that's the only pause for Purdy today. But it's not like the Niners, like they're a good team. Like they can strategize how to get guys open, and whether that's helping out Purdy or whether that's helping more in the running game, it's more so if you kind of have to wait and see. It's a tough matchup this week, but this is going to be their toughest matchup on defense. So Purdy is someone you can start considering, being that, hey, this guy could be an every week starter for me. We do have some comments here from Almighty. He says, I don't know why D-Hop chose the Titans.
Neither do I.
Neither did us. We didn't understand the move at all. And he says, I tried trading CJ Stroud for Justin Fields. While I do think Fields has a lot of good fantasy value, I do see a lot of upside for Stroud. I do see a lot of it. He's been the real deal so far. Nevertheless, it probably would be an even trade for fantasy purposes, not for general manager for purposes. But nevertheless, some running backs. So obviously, more of the bigger news, and I know it's not on the fantasy overview. Devon Achane injured. He's been on IR. I also think
week 11 expected.
Week 11, yeah, that's a few weeks. Obviously, he's going to miss some significant time. I think James Conner was also placed on the shelf, if I'm not mistaken.
Conner's hurt too, yep.
So some guys that obviously people jumped all over. Originally Jeff Wilson, like I did, but he's not ready to go yet. So Salvin Ahmed might get some touches. Obviously, Raheem Mostert's still there. For the Cardinals now, DeMarcado is supposed to be the lead back for them, so we'll see what he can do. But also, again, Josh Dobbs can run the football.
And they did also call up Damian Williams as well.
They did. Damian Williams has also been called up, so maybe they get him involved. So those are some situations to monitor. Another guy I have here that I would like people to monitor, Kendre Miller of the New Orleans Saints. And here's why I say that. Because, Jamal Williams, I forgot what was the injury, but I know he did have it. Alvin Kamara is coming off suspension, but he is fresh and ready. Like he looked pretty good. But nevertheless, I do think Kendre Miller, due time, will get some touches. I mean, I think there was like 2 out of 3 weeks where he had at least 9 carries, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was 10. I don't have that stat in front of me. But again, Williams hurt on IR. He did have the hamstring injury. So Kendre Miller, I forgot when Jamal Williams is supposed to come back, but Kendre Miller is a guy, especially if you have a dynasty league. Timeout, Alex says. You're not doing it
Fantasy
correctly.
question. Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go.
Fantasy question. So
Yeah.
In my league, I'm updating it just now. There's a lot of quarterbacks available, and I just got rid of Sam Howell. So there's Josh Dobbs, Desmond Ridder, Dak Prescott, Geno Smith. Am I going Smith or am I going Prescott?
I'm gonna ask you why I got rid of Sam in the first place.
Because no.
I mean, for Geno, I would do it.
But Geno's not really the same quarterback he was last year. He looks a little worse than that.
I mean, but he's better than all those options. I mean, maybe Howell just because of the volume, but I mean,
yeah, but also who's Seattle playing this week? I mean, this is what I get to forget. New England?
Cincinnati. The Bengals.
Oh, Bengals. Oh yeah, Bengals defense really ain't that good. So I mean, it's more of the run issue though. We talked about it last time. The pass defense is better than people thought, and their run defense got significantly worse.
No. Now Breece Hall is going to have a very, very tough matchup against the Eagles, and obviously Zach Wilson, probably the most limited guy out there because he's a one-read quarterback, as we've all pointed out. But Breece is off his snap count. You saw what his pitch count is limited. They weren't giving him that many touches. You saw what he did against Denver. He can have at least a rush of like 50, 60, 70 yards and take it to the house. He's that elite. You have to start Breece Hall at this point.
John, we have an A-bomb. Armand, I don't know if you guys pulled up Armand's thing. He's right.
Jalen Ramsey is ahead of schedule in his comeback and is pushing to play sometime next month per league sources. He's tracking well, and he wants to play sooner rather than later.
And then it says that the team still doesn't know when it will be, but the Dolphins have a bye on November 12th. And if Ramsey would return November 19th versus Las Vegas, he'd be back to play the final 8 games of the year.
including
Well,
versus the Jets.
So he just apparently, like, all of a sudden drank the miracle juice, and he's back.
The miracle juice. I like
He
that.
drank the miracle juice, and now here he is. All these athletes are like coming back so quickly from injury. Aaron Rodgers is walking after 4 weeks on an Achilles injury. It's actually unbelievable.
The miracle juice. But Kendry
No,
Miller.
but that's ayahuasca. That's not
Right.
juice.
Kendry Miller is, I think he's owned in like only 8% of ESPN leagues. I haven't checked this morning to see if it's gone up or down, but he's someone I would consider for a long run. If you need depth for running back, he might have an expanded role and be that number 2 back for Kamara in the future. Especially also if you have a dynasty league, this guy might be a stasher, which could really help. Here's a running back that I don't find really appealing right now. And I was originally thinking it'd be Ramondre Stevenson because he hasn't had the best year, but Ezekiel Elliott has just been garbo.
And
So-
everybody's been saying to get him, and he's really not doing well. He's not.
Not at all. So the snaps have actually gone up. Last week he was at a season high of 46%. So that does seem encouraging. However, over the last 4 weeks, he's averaged 10 touches a game and a total of 40 yards. So I guess 4 yards per carry, okay, but still, not even averaging over 50 yards is concerning. And amongst 63 running backs, here's a stat I found, Elliott ranks 60th in missed tackles per attempt. That means, in hindsight, he is near the bottom of making defenders miss. He doesn't have
elusiveness. He's not elusive.
He does not have the elusiveness. And again, as bad as Ramondre Stevenson has been, this guy has literally been worse. Okay. I don't mean to poop on the guy because I know at one point Zeke was a bell cow back. He's just not that anymore. And you talk about Stevenson too. His snaps have actually trended down. They've been, it went from like 73% and it jumped to 50 last week. So, and he hasn't rushed for more than 59 yards in a game all season. So his elusiveness has also been bad. There isn't really any explosive runs out of this guy. And at this point, Ramondre Stevenson might be best considered a flex option. So that's kind of sad. Like their top running back might be a flex option at best, maybe get you 10, 12 points. And Zeke, I wouldn't even play. I'd bench him at this point. Or if there's someone more valuable, I might even drop Zeke because he's been that awful. We also need to look at some wide receivers. Obviously, the big injury to Justin Jefferson. One of my good friends in my league had him, drafted him first overall, and now he's like kind of pissed. Well, nevertheless, here's
you reap what you sow. That's the answer. You reap what you sow.
Do I happen to know that friend, John?
You do. You do.
We're talking about it on Wednesday.
That's right. Nevertheless, obviously, Jordan Addison rostered in a lot of leagues. Well, a good pickup that people did do this week is KJ Osborne, and he may or may not be part of the betting prop today. So pay attention to that, guys. Nevertheless, KJ Osborne, a really reliable guy. We'll get into some more of the stats during the betting prop. So pay attention during class. But nevertheless, Jordan Addison should probably get a bulk of targets to him as well. Obviously, TJ Hawkinson, a mainstay at tight end, so you guys can expect that to go up, especially because the Vikings are a very pass-happy offense, as I will read some comments here. Armin says, big run by Henry to get Titans in the red zone. Still no Tutty.
Future Buccaneer right there.
And they got a field goal out of that. So Armin's, the A-bomb is calling for a benching of Tannehill and to put Will Levis in. We'll see.
Wait, what?
The A-bomb, Armin says, bench Tannehill, put in Levis.
Or Malik Willis.
Put in Willis before Levis. I don't care. Put Malik in.
Put someone
Malik's
in.
number 2 for a reason.
Put someone in. Has there been an update for T. Higgins? Does anyone know?
Yes, there is. He's expected to play today.
So he is expected to play. Now, the Bengals kind of broke out last week. They finally had that game. There was a lot of in-team fighting. We saw a little bit of that. And for guys like me, I own Jamar Chase. So I was really happy to see that he's pretty much gotten back to his value. I held on to him. I said he's going to bounce back. Chase, 30% target share, 40% air yard share. So when Burrow is throwing deep, he is getting a lot of it. And that's one of the best in the NFL. He ranks top 3 in that. And Seattle plays a lot of zone coverage. We saw that against the New York Football Giants a few weeks ago, where Alex literally wanted to throw a stick at his whole team. But nevertheless, we could expect another big performance for Jamar Chase, because he is going to face Tariq Woolen and Michael Jackson for the most part, who Tariq Woolen's kind of, hasn't had the same year he did last year. And Michael Jackson, not too much better in some of his coverage numbers. So you can expect big stuff from there. But, T. Higgins, a guy that's really struggled. But nevertheless, he is expected to go, as you heard Mr. Alex say that. The target share has been there. It hasn't been, it hasn't been the production that's been there. But maybe this was an injury that was hampering him for a little. Maybe he can nurse it back to full health. Higgins is still second in red zone targets. So I think you could safely say that just because of that, and because I think they will eventually, they're starting to click things together. Now, it doesn't mean I have the Bengals winning. Me and Alex both actually picked the Seahawks. Luca picked the Bengals. But I could start seeing this offense starting to click. So I'd say Higgins is at the floor for him is a flex play. Maybe he's your wideout too, if that makes more sense. But another guy, in case Higgins, starts dealing with some of these injuries, someone that actually impressed me was Trenton Irwin. And this could be for future in case any of the Bengals receivers do go out. Remember, he had 10 targets last week in that win over the Cardinals. So Burrow obviously has a good connection with him. He had he caught 8 balls for 10 targets, 60 yards in that win. So, if Higgins or Tyler Boyd doesn't perform, or, you're in a deeper league, Trenton Irwin's a guy you could pick up and say, hey, this might be a home run. It could also be a big fat 0, but it is something to monitor if he's getting 10 targets while guys are out. So nevertheless, Barbara asked, did you guys see the awesome Notre Dame game last night? Well, Mr. Alex and the other brother, Luca, decided.
Luca.
Sorry, Luca, the Mr. Hand Raiser, said they called the game. They did a great job of it. Hope you guys check the stream out. Unfortunately, I was not able to join. I had work, and also watching my New York Rangers suck. But nevertheless, Barbara also says, I'm afraid with Thyroid Taylor tonight. God help us.
That's a good one.
That is
That's
very
a good
funny.
one. I got some baseball news for you guys. You guys want it?
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
Max Scherzer and John Gray have officially been added to the Rangers roster for the ALCS. They are available to pitch. So Scherzer is going to be able to pitch against the Astros in this series.
And then the Titans just picked off Lamar.
I said this the whole time, and I said this was the big reason they lost last week. They can't stop turning over the ball. They really can't, and they got to figure that out. Like, Lamar has not been terrible, but his receivers are costing him from being a big, big offense.
Yeah, they had a lot of drops last week against the Steelers. They should have scored like 4 or 5 touchdowns that game, and whether it was Andrews, whether it was Flowers.
And the pick was by Mr. Sean Murphy Bunting, the former Buccaneers corner. Now they have it at around the 25 of the Ravens. They could easily get back in this game right now.
Armin saying, let's go Astros. My prediction, by the way, really quick before we go back into the fantasy advice, I think it's going to be Astros and Phillies rematch, even though I really hate Philadelphia. But nevertheless, Brian will debate that later.
Phillies.
What happened?
I have Rangers Phillies, but I want Rangers Diamondbacks, but it's Rangers Phillies.
Everyone wants Rangers Diamondbacks. Nevertheless, we look at a guy that's kind of been not had the greatest season. We mentioned T. Higgins, another guy that really was expected to break out, Jalen Waddle this year. And there's some, cause for pause, only 245 yards this year and a touchdown in 4 games. I think you're going to see a bounce back with him. And I think it starts today. Obviously, I think the Dolphins are going to be way too much for the Panthers. I mean, that might be just a blowout, I think. But Jalen Waddle, I think he's been ranked wide receiver 40th in terms of scoring. He hasn't been, I think last week was his highest. I think he was in the top 20. But the good news, last week, he did see a high of 10 targets. So this could be the explosion that we're waiting for, literally. And the Panthers do play a lot of zone coverage. Waddle has been one of the better receivers in zone coverage. And, I mean, obviously, Tyreek Hill, I mean, we all know how good Tyreek Hill is. But nevertheless, Waddle, amongst, I think, 92 qualifying receivers, Tyreek Hill is actually 5th in yards after catch per reception. But you know who's one above him? Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle actually is better than that. And Carolina, a team that 4th most in missed tackles. So you can't really expect them to slow down this offense. I think Jalen Waddle has a really big day. And I know a lot of people were trading him and a lot of people were not so high on him. But trust me, Jalen Waddle has been excellent, or is going to be excellent, especially after the confidence booster he gets from this game. This should be a lot of points for Miami. So if you have anyone in Miami, consider starting them. We'll go into tight ends now. And it's funny, I talked about this guy. What was it, Alex? Week 2?
It was like, yeah, it was around week 2 or week 3, maybe.
Right. I said a really sneaky good pickup, Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas is now owned in ESPN leagues by, I think it's jumped up by like 36%, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the ESPN stats in front of me. I have my own note. What happened?
I just benched him.
Why? Listen to this.
I benched him at flex for Keenan Allen.
Oh, Hamilton just got ejected.
Oh, was there a fight?
No, helmet's a helmet. They ejected him for the contact.
Yeah.
That you don't see every day. You don't see that every day. That's the second-year guy. That's basically the best guy in their secondary, and he just got ejected.
But nevertheless, with Thomas, he's actually ranked the 6th best tight end in terms of scoring right now. More than 17% of target share, which has been great. He also leads the team in red zone targets with 4. And the Falcons are a great matchup for him this week because Atlanta has surrendered the 5th most receiving yards and the 2nd most points to tight ends. Expect Logan Thomas to have a huge day as we have a Derrick Henry touchdown. Yes! Get back in the game, Titans. It's not over till it's over.
I watched the replay that Kyle Hamilton hit. It was 100% like targeting. He came in, put his helmet down, and leaned into the receiver. The receiver got up looking confused and lost. So he definitely got ejected for the right reasons. But nevertheless, Titans are back in the game.
All right, this is pretty good. Nevertheless, we move on to another tight end, as Professor John was definitely right about Logan Thomas, as he should definitely get his props for that one. But nevertheless, we move on to the Rams tight end situation, Tyler Higbee, who I guess a lot of people didn't think he'd be an elite, but they thought he'd be solid. I still think he's a tight end too. Maybe someone you roster but don't start every week. He's kind of been, a little buried under options because obviously in that Rams offense, you got Cooper Kupp back, but obviously the sensation, Puka Nacua, who is probably my best pickup all year. Tutu Atwell's in there, and then you got to give Kyron Williams his touches, right? So Higbee's kind of been like a bit of a back share, but he's I think tight end 19th in fantasy. He's got 0 deep targets, which has kind of been concerning, and Arizona hasn't allowed that many receiving yards to tight ends. I think they're like 12th or 13th, but more so, I still think Tyler Higbee can get the job done. It's more so of like he's proved it in the past. Last 4 years, guys, he's had at least 500 yards catching. So he is someone as a tight end that you can still roster. He's not like a pile of junk. Also, just to mention, the yards per reception's actually gone up from last year. So it's not like he's just this guy they just throw on the sticks and just hit him with short passes. They are trying to get him, but there's just a lot of players that mouths to feed in that Rams offense. So don't give up on Tyler Higbee yet. An A-bomb from Armin. Ooh, officially active from Perfield Yates. T. Higgins, David Njoku, Robert Woods, Elijah Mitchell. Officially inactive, Chase Claypool, who they just recently traded for. Maybe he gets traded again. I don't know. and Tank
2
Dell.
weeks in a row.
Yeah. So I don't know. The Chase Claypool thing is a little.
But Tank Dell being inactive definitely takes a hit because he's on my bench right now in fantasy. I have him just in case because I know he's like the backup receiver. Stroud likes him a lot. So,
Yeah. No, good point, Brian. But nevertheless, Alex, if you guys have any more fantasy questions, shoot them away on your own teams. All right. I'm happy to help. Happy to give the advice, give the numbers.
okay.
But
I'm going to take you up on that because today I'm 3-2 going into a big game against a guy who had Mahomes and Pacheco playing already. So I'm already at a massive disadvantage, right?
Right.
So my team today is Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler together against Dallas on Monday night. Rashad White against Detroit. A.J. Brown and Calvin Ridley. Dalton Schultz against New Orleans. In my flex, I have Michael Pittman Jr. against Jacksonville. I've got the Ravens defense, which has 10 points so far. And I've got Brandon Aubrey as my kicker for Dallas against the Chargers. On my bench, I have Jahmyr Gibbs, who's out today. Terry McLaurin at Atlanta. Brian Robinson Jr. at Atlanta. Jordan Love, I technically got rid of, but I don't know why he's still here. He's on a bye week. Jamison Williams at Tampa Bay. And Kenny Gainwell at New York at the Jets.
Okay.
That's my starting group. That's where I currently stand. Do you think I'm going to be able to pull this out?
You're going to have to send me your matchup. You send me your matchup and send me that in a visual so I could see that because that was a lot of names to remember.
Do you want me to present? I can't really present because it gives away where I work and I don't want to have to do that.
Just send me it to my phone.
Oh, okay. I mean,
you have me on everything. Come on,
that
Brian.
is true.
Come on, man.
Forget these things. I forget.
Thank you.
There you go.
Armin says Ravens lead 18-13 with 8:24. It's not over till it's over, Alex. Nevertheless, Barbara says, I won last week because of DJ Moore. I'm not sure it'll happen again for me.
Listen, Justin Fields in the last 2 games, 8 touchdowns and 1 interception. He's been very good. So let's see if the trend continues.
And Barbara, your question's about DJ Moore. And remind me, the Bears, they play the Vikings today. Now, Barbara, I'll say this, and I think you should easily start DJ Moore here. And here's why, Barbara. Moore has had, out of 3 out of 5, someone who I was very high on at the start of the season, and it looked bad in week 1, but then he exploded after that. He's had 3 games of over 100 yards. Okay, so he's been phenomenal in that department. 5 total stats on the year: 27 grabs for 531 yards, 5 tutties. I mean, he's just been a nightmare to deal with. And I mentioned the 3 games he tore up Tampa, 104 yards, 131 for Denver, and then he went for 230, 3 tutties against that Washington nightmare on that Thursday night. Moore is like 23rd in target share amongst all receivers, so he's someone that you easily should start every week at this point. I think he's like 6th or 7th in fantasy points, but he's also 6th in deep targets. And Justin Fields, we saw on that Thursday night, he does like to occasionally throw a deep shot, as for some reason Mr. Mansell has thrown on the shades. But nevertheless, the Vikings have a terrible cornerback group. There is nobody that's going to be hanging on to DJ Moore. He's going to be going against Caleb Evans, I believe, and Mekhi Blackman. Like, DJ Moore is going to torch those guys. Barbara, start DJ Moore. Start him. And Almighty, you're hesitant to trade Higgins. Keep him. I think his value is low right now, so I don't know if you get something big, but I think he's worth, he's going to be helping you in the later run. Barbara says, love the TDs. Yep, John, I'm staying with him. Good. Stay with him. Almighty says, don't be surprised if Darnell Mooney doesn't have. Yeah, I mean,
he's been due for one.
He's been really due for one. And this is the game that it could happen. Because, again, this secondary for the Vikings has been Garbo. He could be a good flex play. He could possibly be a good flex play. He's not someone I'd start every week, though. But this might be a game, if you're really desperate for a flex, this is a guy that could get the job done. If there's any other questions, I'll wait another 30 seconds, a minute to see if there's any more questions that pile in before we go into the betting and my best bets of the week.
I mean, I'm not gonna go like tell you like spill everything to you like what I'm dealing with.
Mhm.
I'm gonna add though about what I'm dealing with in terms of like what my opponent is. I'll just give you a quick rundown of what I mean by I'm in trouble.
Okay.
He's got Patrick Mahomes, Isaiah Pacheco, Kyron Williams, DK Metcalf,
Mhm.
Keenan Allen, Mark Andrews, DJ Moore as his flex, the 49ers defense, and Harrison Butker as his kicker today. And Butker is the reason why I'm in such a hole because he had 18 points against Denver.
It's more so, I think, his quarterback, defense, special teams, and his flex are going to carry as opposed to his running backs and wideouts doing majority of the work. I think Keenan Allen has a good game. I think he can. Maybe not like the monster game.
Mhm.
Kyron Williams, and who's his other running back?
His other running back is Pacheco.
Pacheco gets who the Chiefs
He got
play?
16.
No, I'm saying the Chiefs. Oh, he had 16. That's right.
He had 16. Pat had 17.3, and Butker had 18.
Yeah.
He's got Andrews right now, but he's not seeing the ball much. Andrews getting just about 5 points.
You got to hope that his other running backs and wideouts don't hit big, and then you have a shot.
Yeah, because right
But I
now
do
I
like
got
DJ
the
Moore's
defense
matchup a
only
lot.
playing right now, and they're at 10 points. I need Herbert and Eckler to possibly have 60 combined to have a shot. That's how I see it.
What do you do if you have 5 players on a bye week? I hope it's not 5 starters. You got to always. Here's a piece of draft advice, Almighty. Always make sure you have, like, when you're taking like your draft, right? Where your running backs, wideouts that you draft really early, make sure they don't match up on a bye. Make sure they don't have the same bye because you're screwing yourself for 1 week possibly, depending on who you face. That's just something I always like to keep note of. That could be for next year.
Can I present a meme?
Go for it.
Okay, just wait for this one. Ready? Hold up.
It's gonna be something about the sunglasses. I already know.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Just waiting. 1 second. Okay,
Jacoby Myers, your flex, by the way, is very smart. I would keep that absolutely. Myers has been getting so much attention with
as
Vegas.
opposed to who, Barbara? That's what I want to know. As opposed to who?
This is about sauce.
Clowns. Just a clown show. Clowns.
Clown show. Clown show. Clown show. I have the clip on Twitter too. I can pull it up at any time.
Okay, that's. I'm still mad at. Sorry, I'm mad at the Robert Saleh. Clown. You mentioned Jacoby Myers.
Yes. Barbara said should she keep him?
Well, as I'm asking,
I say yes.
As opposed to who? Who else do you have?
That's a good question. Who else? But Myers been getting so much attention since for the last couple of weeks over Devontae Adams. It's definitely something to watch.
Now, I'll say this about Myers: he's been like, surprisingly really good on a not so great offense. He's got a lot of target shares, and he's gotten a lot of yards out of that. But he's going up against Jonathan Jones and J.C. Jackson, who actually under New England's system that might be a tougher matchup for him. I think they just being on the field a lot. So I really think that it's a safe flex play at least, but I want to, as opposed to who. That's what I want to know. And Almighty saying Algier and Najee have given me nothing. Yeah, at this point, Najee's become useless, and Algier is okay, but he's not the greatest. Dalton Schultz is my only other option. I may put him in for Waller, though. I would put him in for Waller and just keep Jacoby Myers at flexes. Armin says, "Oh, Tannehill threw a pick on 3rd and
Quick fantasy update. It's a big deal. Mm-hmm. Miles Sanders is inactive today against Miami. It's Chuba Hubbard's show.
Yeah, I know Chuba Hubbard's not available in my league, but
Chuba Hubbard is going to probably start today for Carolina.
John, how you feeling right now?
Big change.
Almighty, I'm glad you listened. Yes, he listened to me. I talked about Jonnu Smith 2 weeks ago. Good.
And he's going to go on IR.
Good. Thank you. See, Almighty, when you listen to Professor, good things usually happen. Anyway, are we ready for the best bets today?
Yes.
I guess we'll do it.
Oh, Charles Barkley asking Breece Hall today, or James Cook. Now, before I get into Breece Hall, because we all know how much I love Breece Hall, I'm a big proponent for him. Cook had a really good game last week. He played in 62% of the snaps, right? He's been a top 20 running back. He averages about 15 touches and 86 total yards.
He's up against the Giants defense that's been completely trashed this year.
Now, the Giants have been awful against the run. Now, I'll say this. Something has to give, because Cook is not really an explosive runner. Like, he'll get a lot of his chunk yards, in the tackles and trenches. But the Giants are the second worst explosive run team in all of the NFL. So, just because of that matchup, I kind of lean Cook a little more. Not to say I think he's better than Breece Hall, but the Giants have been horrific at stopping the run. But I'll wait in case we get any more fantasy questions or another A-bomb. Maybe Tannehill learns how to not throw picks. I doubt it, though.
Well, I mean, if you want to go into the betting advice, and then the questions will come along.
Yeah, let's do that. So, here are the best bets. I gave out 4 today. All right. You can find some of these on BetMGM, Prize Picks, other sites. I know some people do DraftKings. I know other that. So, here's the best spread bet, in my opinion, today. You look at some of these games, right? One game I really stood out to me, Patriots-Raiders. The Raiders are favored by a -3. Here's why I'm so against that. I think everyone really is a little higher on the Raiders because public perception of them, and I think Vegas is trying to, trick people. The public perception, they just beat up a really bad Packers team on Monday night. But since when do the Raiders actually have a good defense? They don't. They have maybe one.
It's really just a defensive line.
Right. They have one good defensive player, in my opinion. That's Max Crosby. He's probably one of the most underrated pass rushers in the NFL. And then combine that, have struggled with the run. I know Josh Jacobs will get his yards, but the yards per attempt hasn't been the greatest. Jimmy G has thrown the most interceptions in his career on pace, which is kind of spelling a recipe for disaster. And let's not forget, Bill Belichick really does know Jimmy G very well. So he knows his tendencies. He knows the habits, what's really good for him. I think the Patriots, I know they've been god-awful on offense, but I really do like them as a +3 underdog here. You get them at -115 odds, right? Really good, really good value bet there because I think everyone's so down on the Pats now that they're going to really think the Raiders are this good. And I just don't see that. I could see it more as a pick'em game. I don't see you favoring the Raiders by a field goal. I think that's silly. And I'm the only one on the panel that picked New England to win this game. And I think that's exactly what they do. Any objections?
Yeah, because the Raiders are going to win.
Who winning?
I think the Pats are going to win. I think they're going to. They
I'm
can't
not on board with that. Nope.
Against the Raiders, they've been awful. Though. The Raiders, I'm telling you, why?
Mac Jones. That's all I have to say.
Okay, if he's on a short leash. They put Bailey Zapp in. Bailey Zapp
is just as good as him. That's the problem. They're playing at the same level this year. You look at the stats; they're not much different. They're playing very similar. The only way you actually really switch it up is you got to put in Malik Cunningham.
But tell me, what is
a real dual threat guy?
Why should the Raiders be favored by 3? Because they beat up on a bad Packers team?
They're not. It wasn't a bad Packers team. It was a bad.
Yes, they are. They are a pretty bad.
It was a bad QB performance. You rewatch the game. It was the quarterbacks that made it look so bad.
Okay, that proves my point, though. That literally proves my point. They beat up on
the quarterback was bad. You're going to tell me Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be bad, and that's why the Patriots are going to win this game?
He's facing his old coach. His old coach.
It doesn't matter. What happened the last time they faced his old coach? They won. The Raiders won.
Have you not looked at Jimmy G's stats this year?
Can I add something here?
Go ahead.
This kind of goes to my Raiders viewpoint here, and this kind of supports Brian's argument in the sense. Do you know that Bill Belichick has a terrible record against his former assistants?
Okay, hold up.
This isn't like Nick Saban, buddy. This ain't like Nick Saban. Saban has really good records against assistant coaches. This ain't the same thing.
Anyone want to take a guess the highest interceptions Jimmy G has ever thrown for?
15.
Brian, you want to guess?
18.
It was actually 13 in 2019. So throughout his whole career, He's been pretty good for the most part. Anyone want to take a guess where he's at now? And by the way, he also missed a game, so it's only been 4 games.
5?
7. He's already more than halfway there, or about halfway there in just 4 games. This has been one of the worst seasons for Jimmy G.
And you're telling me a Patriots defense that has played like absolute dog crap this year.
They're on the field all the time. I'm telling you, there is no way the Raiders should be favored.
Okay. As a passing defense, I'm going to throw this in here. Oh, wait, I'm going to bite my tongue. I'm rereading the stats for the Patriots defense. I'm going to bite my tongue on this one.
No, the Patriots defense has been good, but
the pass defense is 7th in the league in yards allowed.
Telling you.
But points per game allowed, the Patriots are actually – the Patriots at the bottom end in terms of points allowed. They've allowed 26 points because they can't get off the field like like Alex said.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
and the Raiders also can't run the ball either. So it's not like
let's also look at differential. Differential is important here, okay? I said this the other day. It's a very important thing. Turnover differential. Do you know what the Patriots turnover differential is right now?
I actually don't know the number in my head.
-8.
No, it's bad. It's bad, but it's not like
the Raiders team with the worst one is the Vikings.
The Raiders don't have a good defense either. I don't see why they're favored by 3. I agree with Armin. They should be a pick'em game. Even Alex called it a tie.
The Patriots have the least amount of takeaways this season as a defense with only 2, a pick and a fumble recovery. How many have they given away? They've had 6 interceptions and 4 fumbles lost. 10 turnovers from their own side. 10 giveaways to 2 takeaways. That's where they're at. You want to talk about the Raiders? You're right. Maybe they're not much better, but they got 4 turnovers compared to 11 giveaways. You're telling me
that's -7. That's 1 less. That's 1. They're pretty even.
Still, the point is they have the New England Patriots don't have a turnover-needy defense. Like, they're not somebody that's like a ball hawk that's going to force turnovers and get their offense back on the field. They're not that kind of team.
I know
their defense isn't like that. They're about, let's just shut down the pass. Let's do what they do. Make them punt it to us. That's all they're about. They're not about getting the turnovers and switching possession. That's how they are. That's how they should be, and they're not.
That's fine, though. But, Brian, you do realize that the Pats only lose by a field goal, that you still win or still get a push on this bet. It's not the Raiders ain't winning by more than a touchdown. I'll tell you that.
This should be even odds. This should be even.
That's what I'm saying. Alex, didn't I not say that? Didn't I not say that? Did I?
Armand's
absolutely not right. Say that.
Armand's right. It should be pick 'em.
This is just Brian being Brian. Nevertheless, we move on to a money line bet. Found really good value, and I've been telling you, the Texans are the way to go. The odds for them actually jumped higher at a 115 for the money line, but nevertheless, I understand the Saints have a very good defense, but their offense has been quite putrid, actually, in my opinion. And it's been a little disappointing, in my opinion. And, Derek Carr has battled some injuries. I think it was a shoulder injury, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
But nevertheless, Texans coming off a heartbreaking loss against the Falcons on a game-winning field goal in the last seconds. So, little unlucky there. But CJ Stroud has been excellent this year. 7 touchdowns, no picks at all. He's taken very good care of the football. The Texans offense actually ranks 2nd in most passing yards a game, which has been who would have thought that? We all thought Texans were a laughingstock, but this kid Stroud has come in and he's elevated this whole team. He's seeming like a guy that I thought he'd just be good, but he's slowly going to become great, in my opinion. And I'm here to state that now. I'm jumping on the CJ Stroud train, and I get it. New Orleans, they're coming off a blowout win, but nevertheless, sometimes when you have a blowout win, a 34-0 win against a bad New England team, you come back down to earth just a little bit, so that although they could be riding high, it wasn't more so of we're really riding high, because before that Pats game, they really did struggle in some dog fights. So give me the Texans at a plus 110 odds to win this game outright. The line has moved to 115, plus 115. I'd even take that because it's even better odds. Here's a total that I really do like today that it caught my eye on one of the sites, and that was the Jaguars and the Colts over. You can pretty much get them at a minus 110 odds at 44. I like the over in this game. And I'll tell you why. I know these two teams faced already, and I believe that was week 1, right? If I'm not correct. Was that week 1? If someone can confirm that. Was this a week 1 matchup? The Jags and Colts are week.
I'll take a look.
But nevertheless, here's why I like the over in this game, right? So the score of that game was 31-21, right? So that was at 40. The total for that was at a 42. But you take a look at that game, right? It was just a very clumsy game. It was the opener. There was 5 turnovers in that game, but 2 of those turnovers were on enemy territory. The odds of that happening, not good. As an A-bomb, Tannehill headed to the locker room with an ankle injury.
Malik Willis time, baby.
The Willis
Yes.
show, yeah.
I'm waiting to see that.
And I know that the tough news for Anthony Richardson, but Gardner Minshew's actually been a solid quarterback. He's been like a serviceable backup. Joe Douglas, he's been a serviceable backup. But nevertheless, a lot of fluke in that game in enemy territory. Also, both teams that day failed to combine on like 4 fourth down conversions. So I don't really see that happening again. And I just think the total is a little too low at a 44. So give me the over on that one. You guys, anyone object to that? I see the over in this game.
I see the over as well.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
My favorite player prop. Ready? KJ Osborne over 3.5 catches is such a good value bet. You can get it at minus 120 odds on Prize Picks, right? But KJ Osborne's been, even with Justin Jefferson, he's been a sneaky good receiver, okay? He's not just chopped liver. KJ Osborne, if you look at some of his numbers, 13 catches, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns, right? But he's only hit this total once, but that was when Justin Jefferson's healthy. You know, now he's going to get increased target share and definitely an increased amount of catches. He had 3 catches both his last game against Tampa and Philly. So with Justin Jefferson out, I think this is such a low value for him that I think you have to smash the over on this one. So that's my best player prop of the day. Guys, if you have any objections, any questions, any of your own bets, you guys can share with the chat. Let me know. I'm happy to answer.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one bet I would add in here.
Okay.
Because the man was just ruled active today for this upcoming game. Van Jefferson is active for the Falcons against the Commanders. And the Commanders' pass defense, as you guys know, has not been great. I don't know what the over-under is on catches, but I can guarantee you he's at least getting 2 today. At least 2.
I could check out.
Let me check out
Pretty
DraftKings.
quick turnaround.
Check out Prize Picks here.
It's a quick turnaround, but you know what? The guy has been healthy. They just haven't played him.
No, you're very well could be right. And
because they felt like, again, nobody expected Puka Nacua to be so good, and same for Tutu Atwell. They both played above their weight. Now they got cut back. There's just no need for Van. So they gave him to the Falcons for dirt cheap, just so that they could have an asset, and it's working. So we'll see. I mean, we haven't seen yet, but it's probably going to work. They needed another receiver in there, and they got it now. So Drake London, Van Jefferson, and who's the third guy? Oh, Matt Collins. And then you also got Kyle Pitts, who apparently doesn't exist anymore, according to Desmond Ridder.
No.
John Smith, baby.
I'm still so pissed off. I want to see Kyle Pitts go to a better team like Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm going to look up Van Jefferson because Brian asked about him. Van Jefferson, I can't spell apparently. That's great. Van Jefferson, Van Jefferson.
I'm looking for it now. I'm looking for the game itself on DraftKings. It takes forever because you have to do the authentication thing. I hate it.
Yeah, it's annoying. I'm trying to see the. Let me see.
Malik Willis is coming in, baby. I'm so happy.
Watch the Titans become a juggernaut now.
Watch him go ahead and go on a overtime forced drive, tie the game.
Yeah, no, literally, they're gonna be.
Let me look at receiving props. I think I found it. Give me 1 sec. Receiving yards, no, not alts. I want catches. Give me receptions. There we go. Receptions going down. Drake London over under 3.5. Do they have it for him? They don't have him listed. Wow, they don't have Jefferson listed.
I'm trying to
I'm not
find.
surprised by that.
Maybe they knew that I was going to do this.
They said, "Screw you, Brian."
He said,
They said,
"No,
we know
bro."
that kid Brian has been putting out good bets lately. Listen, my parlay last week was really close to winning. You know that, right?
Parlays are
When I
very
put out a parlay sample last week with like four legs on it, all 3 of the 4 hit
Well,
and 1 missed.
I think I do see an over/under for yards. Hold up. No, that's not. Why is it not giving me this week?
It's very annoying, isn't it?
Hold on. Let me, because I tried looking at DraftKings for you. Let me go in Price Picks because this is ridiculous.
I've got so many criticisms with them. Alternate receiving yards, though, if I'm thinking, part of me's leaning towards Bijan Robinson getting like 40 plus today. I don't know why. On the Commanders defense receiving. They've been using him on both ends. Or if you want to go rushing and receiving yards, could this be the first day that Bijan Robinson goes over 100 yards?
You're saying over or under 100?
Right now it's over under 95.5.
For Bijan.
Combined rushing receiving. So all-purpose yards.
Well,
95.5. Over under.
I will say, I'm looking up some numbers for you here, Brian. Just give me a sec. The Bears give up about 98 on the ground. So,
well, they're playing the Falcons are playing the Commanders.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Commanders give up. Commanders, where are they? What the hell? 130. You know what? I actually like that. I like that over.
Over under Bijan Robinson, over 95.5 rushing and receiving yards combined.
I like that.
I like the
You would
over.
take the over?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Because the Commanders, all they're really good at on defense on their front is getting to the quarterback. That's
a big advantage.
That's fine. But if they break containment, or if they try that a lot, Bijan's going to have a field day. Really could.
I'll take a look at the Niners and Browns too, because I know PJ Walker's the quarterback today. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out what do the yardage stuff look like for the Browns, see if there's anything you could hit on for that. Because I'm sure they're going to be underrating a lot of guys. When easily the best thing you could do is go for receiving props, which is more like receptions. This is what to look at for that one. So if you're looking at receptions, let's see what that looks like. Yeah, this is very interesting for receptions. Some of these are very low. Amari Cooper's at over under 3.5 receptions.
I don't know. I don't think I take the over. The Niners are just too good. And remember,
Njoku's at over under 2.5. DPJ's at over under 1.5. Elijah Moore actually is higher and over under 2.5.
I just wouldn't be smashing the over on the Browns receivers today. The Niners are just too good to bet against.
The Niners ones are interesting though. Debo and Ayuk reach at over under 3.5.
I see it
for McCaffrey.
It's going to be a low scoring game, so I would stay away from the props on that one.
You would? Okay, what about rushing wise? Rushing's a little different, I'm sure. So McCaffrey's at over under 73.5 for rushing yards.
It's tough because they're such two good defenses.
And you also got Jerome Ford for Cleveland, who's at over under 37.5.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure they're going to try to run the ball more today. And even got PJ Walker rushing props.
Give me. That's tough. I'm tempted to take the under for Ford. I'm tempted.
Oh my gosh, no. Oh my gosh, no. Guys, my friends are officially roasting me. Bad in the group chat.
Why?
I'm crying.
What'd they do?
Crying. Guys, look up Tim Kelly, the offensive coordinator of the Titans.
Tim Kelly?
Look up Tim Kelly, please.
Kelly?
Tim Kelly.
Image?
Yes.
No way. I looked him up.
Hold on. I have one specific picture.
You got to show it. I'm getting killed.
just like Daniel Jones every game. Let's see. Hold on,
Basically. Oh,
There's
this is
one
going to be an
specific-
all-timer. This is an all-timer, people.
Oh my God.
You know what this means, right? I can't take it. It looks so much like me. It's not even funny.
Well,
Like, how
do we
often-
now,
how
now
often
John?
everything
Now,
gets-
John,
oh
do
my
we
God.
have Tim Kelly here? And
Uh,
Brian's calling the
Oh my
plays?
gosh, this is insane.
I don't know.
This is
I think
insane.
it's got to be Tim Kelly.
I cannot believe how accurate that looks. It's actually crazy. Hair, beard, everything.
My God.
Ah, it's like a spitting image. That's insane.
Unbelievable. But any more betting thoughts?
I'm all out.
I mean, that was really it. I was thinking about costly considering that Cleveland games, it's going to be like a slugfest. And I meant to show you guys, this is the specific picture that my friend sent me.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to try to get it in the camera.
Mr. Kelly's a little mad. His offense hasn't been doing the greatest.
Yeah, and it looks like me. That's the problem. It really does look like me. My friends can't take it. They're like, Brian? And they're all crying in the chat, like, oh my gosh, what the fuck?
That's pretty cool that you're able to be in here and in London at the same time.
Yeah, he's
I
got a
know, man. It's
doppelganger.
unbelievable. You know what? We're going to have to do that. You know that, right? At some point, we're going to have to do that. I have
Yeah,
to
you-
come in dressed like Tim Kelly. I'm going to have to do
You
it.
already are.
That's it.
Listen, I already look like him. I said, all I need is just some Titans gear, and that's it.
And a headset too.
True. Headset, too. I got to figure out how I can get one of those online just for, like, prop. That's a prop.
Might be a lot of money. But Angry John, your final thoughts?
Well, this at about 4:30 today, the pain will start, the suffering will not end, and you know what, guys, stay tuned for tomorrow's show because there's a great chance that we're going to do a wheel for Alex at some point. We'll definitely,
a wheel?
we're going to do a wheel of rotating offensive linemen for the Giants.
Oh my gosh. No, please.
Yeah,
don't.
we are.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to do it. It's going to be fun too.
Got an update on Tannehill. He had to be carted to the X-ray room.
Yep.
For his ankle.
Good.
So that would mean if something's broken or torn, Malik Willis is going to be starting for a while.
Ooh.
For a while. And again, I pray for nothing but success for that kid. He's so good. I really think he's got a lot of potential.
And then,
But yeah, nevertheless, follow the advice I gave you. Did the previews for you guys, and we'll see who comes out victorious today on the Book of Wonder picks.
yeah.
Did you guys see the video of Odell Beckham's catch with the Ravens?
Yep.
And how somebody said this is the New York Giants version of OBJ?
Well, someone said if it was the New York Giants OBJ, he would have taken it for a touchdown.
He would have kissed the kicking net already.
It'd be nice if any Titan quarterback gets Hopkins more than two more receptions.
Mm.
You know, something tells me that
I mean,
Ron
that
has a
first-
prop on that.
I mean, that first drive,
Ron,
though,
if
for
Ron,
Willis
do you
was
agree
better
with my
because
picks?
It looked like the offense had more move in it, more
I'm
life in it, and like at least he's moving, and Tannehill doesn't move.
I gotta ask Ron because I know he's. You said he's big into it. Do you agree with my picks, Ron? Do you agree? Oh, hopefully I get
Yeah.
the answer.
And yeah, Barbara, I send the link out every Wednesday.
Wow.
Wow,
So-
maybe we'll get an answer from Sir Ron. Brian, your final thoughts.
Sorry, I'm looking through like my flyer bet for this week. I think I got it lined up. You can tell this if you want, John. I have a person I go to for everything when it comes to bets, and they've been really, really good. Their win percentage is over 70%.
That'll come down.
But this is their flyer pick at plus 1121.
Okay,
Which is Hawkinson over 54.5 against the Bears.
I like that.
Mostert over 74.5 rushing against Carolina, since A-Chain's hurt.
I like that as well.
Logan Thomas over 3.5 receptions against Atlanta.
Love that.
Commanders. And for the Cardinals-Rams game, Cooper Kupp over 86.5 receiving. He hit 100 last week.
I'm like iffy on that, but it's not bad. That's the one I'm a little iffy on.
But again, a wager for $30 on this gets you 363.
Yeah, no, it's a nice
So
little.
it's a
parlay.
really, really good setup. And the guy is obviously off to a good roll because he already hit on the Flowers prop.
Ron says, I never discredit anyone's picks, hello. It's the beauty of betting. But I do agree because you guys aren't betting blind. Yeah, no. Like, no, of course. But I just thought, like, if you had any, like, thoughts to offer on mine, like, was there something you disagree with? I won't, like, take offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff is not easy. It's all a guessing game. It always has been. And if you guys are looking at a touchdown down parlay, here's something to think about. These are all running backs involved. At plus 340 for these, Christian McCaffrey, Kenny Walker, David Montgomery, anytime touchdowns together.
I wonder if Armin's going to put together a parlay.
He usually does. He might send me his. I don't know. Jesus,
But
Herbert said, Brian, are you mafia? LOL. That's serious betting.
I don't think he's that deep.
Oh my gosh. No, I'm not that deep yet. Let's see. Anything else? What was the one that he was talking about? His team parlay. He does a team parlay and then he does his best bets, the one that are always going to hit.
You see, Armin will send it now.
And the best bet was a minus 113 on FanDuel, which is Zay Flowers 40 plus receiving and Jamar Chase 70 plus receiving.
I hope to God he's right on Jamar Chase because I think the same too. I like that. I like those.
All right, give me 1 sec, guys. I gotta pick up a call here.
Yeah, no problem. But I'm gonna wait for Armin to obviously send the parlays. But tomorrow we got the Boys in Big Apple podcast at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Discussing whatever happens in this Giants Bills game and the fun that's gonna happen in the Eagles Jets game. And hopefully Luca will get to ask Robert Saleh a question or two at today's presser. Because we know John is very impressed with Robert Saleh's handling of the injuries.
No, he's not really impressed. It's more so how can I say it? That's the correct word.
Oh,
wait, hold on.
Hey?
What was the?
Can you explain that again?
You didn't hear what I said?
No,
I was on the phone.
Oh, I'm sorry. All
I heard was like what sounded like a fart noise. What was that?
No, that's what it was.
Okay,
that's what it was.
Why?
That's
Robert Saleh or something.
Yeah, it's Sally. Good coach.
Oh,
Sally.
okay.
Good old Sally.
All right, let me put Armin's parlay on the screen, and then we'll get out of here. So let's see here. Let's see. Is it on the screen yet? Almost. Okay. Let's see. Apologies for making this too long.
And there's a confirmation from Jay Glazer. Right now, it looks like the Colts are leaning towards a surgery that will put Anthony Richardson out for the rest of the season.
All right, here is Sir Armin's parlay. I'm going to make it bigger so everybody
anytime touchdown parlay. Dude, that's a bit. Look at this.
I know. He always goes big.
Nearly 1,700. A Jalen, DJ, Kirk, Puka, Devonta, Gabe Davis, Day. All of them touchdowns. Dude, if that hits, oh my gosh. Dude, if that hits on a $5 bonus bet, that's crazy. You know what? Just for the fun of it, I'm going to tail for $1. I'm going to put $1 down and tail. For sure.
Okay.
I'm going to go with it. I'm going to support my boy here.
He says he used the $5 bonus bet for a $6. No, it's pretty smart.
Yeah. Oh, and Andrew's made a big catch. My fantasy matchup's already in a little bit of a bad
Andrew's
situation.
got fantasy points for me. So, John, how do we feel about that Titans pick?
It's not over till it's over.
Yeah, well, the Ravens are on the Tennessee 9 team with 422
I
left.
don't got a clue what you're talking about. I'm going to be up. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. But that's going to do it for this show. If nobody's got any final thoughts or any of that stuff, I'm pretty sure we went over that stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. I'm gonna once again put Brian's Twitch in the chat.
I also do YouTube now. I actually was able to do the YouTube streams. So I can do both.
That in the chat too. Let's see. Just take a minute to do this. Yep, the Brian Mansell Show.
Yes,
go and hit the subscribe button for our buddy Brian.
Responsible.
Please bet responsibly. And what's the thing that Luke always says, John?
Don't drink and drive, folks.
Don't be a Jets fan, folks.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
Don't be
Christian Kirk or Garrett Wilson.
Who does Christian Kirk match up again?
Jaguars play the Colts.
Ooh, I think
And that's a
Christian
tough
Kirk.
one.
Christian Kirk.
Didn't the Colts lose the first time around? I think week 1 they lost, right?
They did.
Okay.
No.
But it's also Gardner Minshew, right? It's Gardner Minshew against his former team. A lot of questions.
I'd say Christian Kirk.
Okay.
But anyway, we're going to get out of here, folks. Enjoy your marvelous Sunday. I know me and John will definitely be having a marvelous Sunday. Well, I mean, Brian's team plays too, but, it's not going to be as bad as a blowout as both of our games. But appreciate you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.